the map in the colour Dutch, playing as the civilization blue. We do have the example. Why not? There's nothing else to do with the Explorer right now. But yes, I was going to finish my train of thought, but we got distracted by the humongous amounts of wood that H2O has down there. But we do have a fight here. It doesn't look like H2O is going to be able to take it though. Double Sultan's mixed in. Those things absolutely insane versus Cavalry. Now H2O on the back foot has to get back here, and whilst he's walking away, going to be taking lots of damage coming in past the Quarterphasian Minutemen. I think this is go time for Azan. We're going to see them any second now. Villagers coming out as well. Minutemen.
And Lancers! How did he get all that out?
Get Jason to get it all the way back to base. Wow, that is some arrogance I've ever seen. He is putting it to the wire.
Yeah.
If he could burst a hand mode and shoot it. Yes, he got it! Wow! He did the convert!
Look, the cavalry just run away. Excellent uniform from H2O, taking no damage from those Pumas. And as they're luring those Pumas piping towards the skirmishes of crossbowmen, going to just absolutely destroy them with their trying to keep them interested. I think at this point he's just going to slam the cavalry in there and DPS them down. Those Pumas walking around, not doing any damage. 5 double swords plus 2 alarms to a right, or 3 alarms to a right. And look, everything getting absolutely destroyed. All of the melee units are now gone, effectively. And those, look at the cavalry getting into position to then attack move onto the Mace Halton. And that does a very, very convincing victory in this final game, this final fight. In the final game, H2O does progress through to the grand finals of the Winter Championship. Diaroga is eliminated. The fight. I think this is the defining one of the game. Let's see what happens. He's going to have to win this, even if he doesn't think he can.
Wow.
Oh, 4 hussars popping out. What a power spike. Can he make something happen, though?
He needs to get rid of the musketeers. He's doing as best as he can in microing versus this, and it looks like he's actually decently targeting down the musketeers.
Yeah. I think, and remember, these musks are insanely good. They are very, very strong. And even getting into hand combat versus the Gherkins.
But 5 more sours during the battle as well. What can he do? He says cooking!
GG! Congratulations! Ladies and gentlemen, Flagstar
wow.
takes the grand finals of the ASC Spring Championships 2015. I give you... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. I saw that it started back on the 5th of September on the intro we just played there, so we've been going quite a while. This is the climax. This is the grand finals between H2O and LordRaphael, the only 2 players remaining in this event. My name is Interjection, and I will be casting alongside WickedCossack today. This tournament is, of course, brought to you by ESO-community.net. Before we begin, a big shout-out, I think, to Tenkyukyugen and everybody watching over on, I forget the name of that site again.
The Duyu TV.
Duyu TV. Yeah. About 200 other people, maybe more than that now, I haven't checked. Sort of the China region. Joining us today. Thank you for rebroadcasting that Tenkyukyugen. Hopefully I'm saying a name correctly. But we have today possibly one of the most anticipated matchups of this year, perhaps. H2O vs LordRaphael. A rematch of the previous grand finals, the Winter Championships that was, where H2O did win that event. But I can say today both players are very, very well practiced. I think LordRaphael, he was telling us about, he was a bit nervous. He might even have a little bit of a headache coming on. And I think H2O is feeling the shakes as well. They've both been practicing an enormous amount all week. H2O has been on every moment he can get playing with his practice partners like Maito and a few others as well. LordRaphael, he's been practicing a lot, and it seems I think H2O mentioned earlier, WickedCossack, that actually it feels a bit like everyone's ganging up on H2O. They're all practicing with LordRaphael. They're all helping him out. H2O's not got quite as many practice partners. What do you think about all of this?
Well, I mean, that's just natural when you've been at the top. So, I mean, he's been at the top of his game since he won WCG back in 2008. So it's been almost, about 8 years now. And so, obviously, some people are getting pretty tired of H2O's dominance, right? So there's a lot of young kind of whippersnappers in the AoE3 community. Yeah, I mean, people, it's a competitive scene, right? There's a lot of ego floating around and all that, and so there's quite a few people in the community that would like to see the great H2O be toppled. And Raphael, he's got a great shot at doing that. Honestly, he's well prepared for this series coming up, and I think he's got a great chance at doing that.
I think you're absolutely right. Certainly, possibly these two the best players currently. I think to get to the grand finals of 2 tournaments in a row, that is certainly the case. And I will remind everyone, H2O is not unbeatable. It certainly loses a lot on stream, we know that. But Blackstar OP did defeat H2O back in the Spring Championships in a 5-4, which we did see in the intro. So it is, this is the time, perhaps. Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned, actually, H2O been around for a very, very long time. He did compete in the 2007 and won the 2008 World Cyber Games for Age of Empires 3, the Asian Dynasties back then, and has had many very, very strong tournament performances as well. Of course, as we mentioned, he did win that Spring Championships, and he did win the Winter Championship as well. So there is that. He's also competed in many of the PK Clan tournaments. And speaking of those, LordRaphael is not without tournament finishes either. This guy is not messing around. He did come 3rd in PK Clan Tournament 1 and 2nd in PK Clan Tournament number 2. He's also the winner of the Starvation Tournament. And of course, as I mentioned, did come 2nd last time on the Winter Championships. So there is certainly that.
Yeah, Raphael almost threw me off there with his taunts. I should have been prepared and turned those off.
All right, so the civilizations are now coming out. Mr. WickedCossack Dutch has been selected on this first map by H2O.
Yeah, I feel like this one was there's a good chance of this happening. So if any of you had been around on ESO this week, you would have noticed that kind of H2O had been hosting a lobby on Kamchatka for He's been primarily practicing on this map, and so kind of the theory is that he's trying to plan something, as we saw last week with how he took out Mongo on the first map. He came up with this really unusual Howder FF on Manchuria, and that's just because he'd been practicing Manchuria for about 20 times in a row, trying to figure out all the adaptations for that. And so I think there's a suspicion here that H2O has been doing something similar for Kamchatka.
This is very out of character, I think. Because H2O is a person who says, he doesn't like Dutch very much. They just struggle to get up to Fortress and get rolled over by a lot of civilizations. And LordRaphael even saying, I must admit, I'm mildly surprised.
Mildly
surprised.
He's not completely surprised. Like I think he knows H2O is trying to bait Raphael into a matchup that Raphael will agree to, but is a matchup that H2O has actually practiced a lot. And I think Dutch versus Russia might actually be. Yeah, you can see Raphael saying. So is that where all those training games have gone into? I think he knows this is a trap. So I think he's got to be concerned about clicking into this. Like normally he'd want to do this Russia versus Dutch. That sounds great. But do you, if you have a sneaking suspicion H2O has sat there and played 50 Dutch versus Russias on Kamchatka, do you actually click into that?
Yeah, that's a real. Well, in the meta, we know, right? Russia pretty good against Dutch, as you said. LordRaphael probably would be pleased about this usually, but yeah, he clearly is aware what H2O has been doing, and he knows that H2O is this character that will bring about new builds and bring unseen things to the table, right? Like as you mentioned, that Howder FF with the India last week, unprecedented, that strategy, not seen before, I think. And I think China was the favourite to go ahead and win that game. But your move, Rafa, indeed. I think he's completely stumped. I'm just thinking if I take the bait.
So he knows it's a bait, but he also knows it's a matchup he likes. So I guess he's just going through his head, right? Like, what is it H2O could pull out? Because Raphael plays Dutch a lot as well himself, so he knows what is possible. And he's not going for it. He's not going for it.
All right.
Unless this was the matchup, right? We don't know for sure if Dutch versus Russia was the matchup. Maybe H2O's counter mind gamed him into picking the one that he shouldn't have done. Like, we don't know. The only person here who knows is H2O.
It must be. It must have been the Russia versus Dutch that H2O was anticipating, because he's switching to the British mirror here.
gone for the mirror.
Yeah, and we know H2O very strong mechanically as a player. Oh baby, a $2 donation coming in from Gendarme. Sweeves Magic Hype. That is the clan.
Sway Magic Hype.
Sway Magic Hype. Absolutely. Thank you very much for the $2 donation. Of course, everything received here does go to future tournaments. India Mirror coming out. So H2O, as I'm mentioning, very strong mechanically, and he's going to want to just follow LordRaphael around in the mirror matchup until he clicks in, or goes with that Russia versus Dutch game that he offered, right?
Yeah, so I think this is maybe a bit of a giveaway that actually that was the matchup that H2O was practicing, that Dutch versus Russia, because everything else he's gone for a mirror. So I think Raphael's going to know to stay away from that matchup. And so Raphael doesn't want the mirror. He's gonna keep switching now, but I think H2O is just going to go France. I mean, he won't queue into an India versus France, so we could see a lot of dancing here. I mean, they're gonna yeah. Oh,
okay, Dutch versus India. Dutch,
I know, he goes
Dutch
back to
mirror.
that.
Okay, so I think LordRaphael has seen the cards on the table now. He knows that the matchups he can accept are Dutch versus Russia. H2O seems to be willing to take that. And another $50 donation coming in from Godzilla King. Amazing intro, he says.
Amazing intro.
Amazing intro, says the lady. Thank you very much for that. An absolutely astounding amount of money we've received for the next tournament. So hopefully we can bring those to you seasonally. We were worried for this one. Oh, 225 from Krejensen 4. GLGG. GLGG, says the lady. Absolutely.
Crikey.
So plenty of money here. Looks like, we were a bit worried about having these, doing these seasonally. We thought maybe it would be half a year, sort of that kind of thing. But this looks very promising. So thank you so much to everybody who is willing to do that. But we do see British coming out against Dutch. Back to that very first switch that we saw.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this could be a kind of an impasse here. What's he said here in game? So yeah, we got the classic H2O. He wants to play a mirror matchup. He's really good at mirror matchups, and I suppose at this point everyone in the community, including Raphael, knows that. So Raphael won't want to queue into a mirror, but then he's got to find a matchup that H2O wants to agree to. And I mean, so this is probably the first match in the entire tournament that we've had such a long time where people have struggled to pick a matchup in like the first game of the series.
Yeah.
I think that's just because it's the finals, right? They really don't want to get even a slight disadvantage at all.
They're both taking this very, very seriously. So, for those that do not understand the format, the players are allowed in Age of Empires 3, since there are so many civilizations, they are allowed the opportunity to switch around for quite a long time until they land on a matchup that they are happy with. If they cannot find a matchup they are happy with, they will then have to do a blind pick. They will have to whisper me or WickedCossack the civilization they want to play, and if, once they've told us that, we'll verify it, and then they have to play that matchup. So we're gonna give them a bit longer to find a matchup that they're happy to play, and then we will do that. And proceeding onwards, the way this format works is the winner of this first match, he will have to pick his civilization first in the next the next game, and the losing player will pick his civilization afterwards. So this kind of thing, doesn't actually happen. The only time it actually happens is, of course, in game number 1. And that's really interesting part of game number 1, I think, setting up that. And of course, civilizations that you have played are disabled for the remainder of the series until the halfway point. We will remind you when we get to the halfway point, but once you click in with a civ, you cannot use that civ in another game until that halfway point. So very interesting format. And we'll see what they land on. It would be very interesting, if not anything else, to see a blind pick on map number 1 here.
I'd be very surprised. I wouldn't have predicted that before this, that LordRaphael and H2O would not be able to agree on a matchup. I'm sure there's a matchup there that they can both find. But I think it's also the fact that it's such a long series, right? That the civilization you pick here, it doesn't just affect this game, right? It affects your next kind of 4 games, because we got 9 games
post
to
that
come
map
to.
pool again.
Yeah, and so they've kind of got to worry about, okay, so if I choose a civ here, then I'm not going to be able to use it on like High Plains, Indonesia, or Klondike, and they all play out slightly differently. Like, so H2O's, you can see he's picked Spain here, which is that's a ATP civ, right? And so High Plains, Klondike, maybe that will affect his choices on the 2nd and 4th maps. So there's so much to think about, and I think that's just why it's taking so long.
Absolutely. And H2 are offering here a Spain versus India. LordRaphael considering it, clearly. and we'll see if he switches around. But yeah, I'm glad I bring this up. Right, High Plains is our next map, and we haven't seen either player pick Portugal. That is certainly a civilization they'll be saving for Indonesia. $5 coming in from William Wallace 30. Donation hype. He says hype with lots of exclamation marks. Thank you very much. But sorry, Indonesia. So they haven't picked Portugal here because they'll want that for Indonesia most likely. And High Plains, Portugal also very good there. And Spain even quite good on High Plains due to the the amount of trading posts there are and that ATP build that we've been seeing very recently. People doing well, not so recently, but certainly in the meta now. So there is that, right? Like you have to bear in mind what civs you do not want to play in this first game because you need to save them for this long series on the other maps where they might be very, very useful there. By the way, we also need the admins to decide because I think we are heading towards blind pick.
Yeah, maybe someone should throw in kind of a curveball, so like completely change civ, right? If someone picks just Sue randomly, and then we can start kind of a new little dance where they keep counter picking, and maybe we'll find another matchup there because they've kind of been sticking around India, Brits, Dutch, and so they haven't really been getting anywhere with those civs. So maybe if someone just like throws in a civ that we haven't seen yet, we might be able to agree on a matchup.
Yeah, we might see a player go, oh, Sue, I'll click in as, I don't know, France or whatever a civ is that he enjoys, and then suddenly you get a new civ dance, and then maybe there's a matchup that one player's really happy with and the other player's also happy with just out of nowhere. But I'm going to say it now, this is not usual. This doesn't happen very often. The times that this happened most was Gaia and Boneng's series, where they'd find it difficult to land on a matchup. But here, this doesn't happen very often at all in Age of Empires 3, to be honest.
No, and I mean, as I said, it's just because it's the finals, right? They are super concerned about this first game, and it sets everything up for the rest of the series. Really, you gain like so much momentum, or you lose so much momentum from this. Taking their time with this one, I don't know how it's going to end. If this goes on too much longer, we are going to have to find an admin, and we're going to have to maybe settle this either with a blind pick.
Well, LordRaphael is perfectly entitled to take this all the way to a blind pick if he truly wants to. And I wouldn't be upset if he did do that. So they're going to keep trying for a little bit longer by the looks of it.
Yeah, they should. And I think this is also Ottoman. That's a wild one.
Ottoman coming out.
Yeah, I think this is also because Raphael he's been hyper aware that H2O has practiced Kamchatka about, as he says, 50 times, and he doesn't exactly know what matchup H2O has practiced, so he's very careful not to walk into a planned strategy, and I think that's also kind of a factor in why they're taking so long. So would they agree to this? I mean, they both pick civs here, but no one's actually greened up, so I don't know if they're still sizing each other up here. I think they are.
Perhaps should we put a timer on this? Perhaps.
Yeah. Well, but this is a surprising start. I would not have had these two down to not come up with a matchup, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I'm actually quite surprised, I suppose. Something I want to point out is that.
Sorry, Jim. MC Jim just said, "Can you rise my volume up just a little bit?"
Yeah.
About 20 past. I did it. All right. Sorry. Anyway, carry on.
I can't remember what I was going to say.
Oh no, ruin your train of thought. Which is okay though, because I'm sure we got lots of time here. This is a standard a Raphael game does not start on time. I mean, he turns up on time, but it always takes a while to get going. So we should have probably anticipated this, actually.
Yeah, perhaps for future tournaments we'll have to have a 10-minute timer at the beginning of the first series.
Yeah,
something like that. Spain versus Dutch does come out, and I find it unlikely that H2O will settle on that one.
Yeah. So are we gonna go with a timer then? Are we gonna give them a limit? I think that would be a sort of a sensible idea. Yep. Okay. Start a timer for 3 minutes. H2O definitely won't want a blind pick. Raphael, I mean, I don't think either player will want a blind pick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in their interest to start switching civs.
France coming out versus Spain.
That's an interesting one. That's a close one. The thing is, I think Raphael's been he's been throwing out maybe a few civs that he doesn't play as much. So I'm not I don't. Even though I think this matchup could be okay for Spain, Spain isn't one of his premier civs. He's known for his European civs, right? But his 6 best civs have always been like Germany, France, Portugal, and then you've got Russia, Brits, and Dutch. Those are kind of Raphael's tier 1 civs. And so I think I'd be surprised to see him go with Spain. So yeah, he's gone over to one of his best, which is Brits. Well, we can see he's moved away from Brits. Oh my goodness, crikey! Is this it? Interjection?
All right, by the looks of it.
Let's do this.
He says, let's do this. All of this time, I think this does give LordRaphael the advantage, though, because of the extra hand-warming time that he has had made available to him as a result of course, the hairdryer, or the blow dryer, for those that don't call it a hairdryer. It's certainly not drying hair at the moment. LordRaphael says sec. H2O ungreen, though, so perhaps not happy.
Well, it could just be that Raphael, he's getting the blow dry up again, I suppose. Well, for those of you who don't know, Raphael's pre-game routine, as always, he gets out the hairdryer and he warms his hands up. That's always been a thing that he's done, as his skill level kind of correlates pretty closely to the temperature of his hands. So that's kind of his weird pre-game routine. No doubt he'll have that on during the breaks. And all right.
It looks like he's happy with it. H2O is going to be clicking in to this matchup by the looks of it here.
Yeah, how long did that take? I'm very surprised. That was
quite long. Maybe 15 minutes total when we started.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if that's going to throw them off during the game as well. Like, I imagine H2O's, he's not going to be in a great mood now, and I don't know if this is a matchup either would have practiced recently, so there might be a bit of
a $2 donation coming in from Get Me a Cake. He says wall his gold mine
Raphael.
All right, some advice coming in right there.
Yeah, someone did that this tournament. Was it Raphael? I saw someone walled off someone's coin mines, which was really interesting. But I don't expect shenanigans to be coming out in game 1 anyway.
Another $2 coming in from Kathy Tanner, Ryan and Tanner. Forever and ever.
Ryan and Tanner, forever and ever, less than 3, marry me.
Less than 3, marry me.
You know what though? This long introduction, right? It's worked well for the donations, isn't it?
It certainly has. Ladies and gentlemen, by the looks of it, we are going to be clicking into an India versus Dutch on Kamchatka. Both players, after a fairly long civilization dance, I like to call it, we have landed on a matchup that both players are happy with. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, in Age of Empires 3, due to the very large number of civilizations, both players must be offered the opportunity to find a matchup that they are happy with. But we will not be seeing anything like that for the remainder of the series, because the winner of this game must pick his civilization first in the next match, and the loser will pick afterwards. So there will be no room for switching around. It's not going to happen like that. And afterwards, after game number 2, we alternate. So in game number 3, we'll switch who picks first, and then we'll switch again in the next game. But Wicked Cossack, we have begun. What do you think of the India versus Dutch? I think H2O, he really wanted that Russia versus Dutch, right? Sorry, yeah, that's exactly it. Dutch versus Russia. He wanted to play that matchup, but and maybe that will come into play later on. But other than that, he wanted a mirror by the looks of it, and has actually settled on this. So, what do you make of this?
Yeah, so the thing is, because I don't think this matchup is going to be one that either of these players have practiced too much recently. They're going to have to kind of rely on their instincts. But they've both got so much experience that they've probably both played this matchup quite a bit in the past. This is one of Raphael's favourite civs, and H2O, he's got vast experience with India. So kind of what we usually see in this matchup is the India player, obviously they kind of stick their aggro down in the middle of the map, and then they try and damage the Dutch economy as much as possible. Dutch will be looking to try and get up to that fortress age, get out the kind of their skirmish and Reuter composition, which can deal with the age 2 composition of India, as you do not want to be fighting India in age 2 as Dutch. However, I'm not entirely convinced H2O is going to play this as a regular Indian game. We could possibly see a Kani Martyr. I wouldn't be totally unsurprised to see that. However, it's normally played with an aggro, so we'll have to see what they do here.
Looks like by the looks of it, William de Royer William de Ruyter has managed to capture the elephant there, trying to use the goat to get in the way of the 2 units there, block him off so that he cannot continue to follow. Does successfully manage to break the snare. Of course, in Age of Empires 3, you do get snared, and is able to escape with the elephant intact, and of course his goat as well. We've seen a little bit of conflict over the goats here. Of course, LordRaphael escorting 2 goats back with his envoy. This one going a little bit far astray. Maybe he's going to walk it. No, not quite. But we saw both the explorers very, very close together early on, and just trying to make sure that the goats stay in the line of sight. Yeah, going back there. Doesn't want to get too far ahead of the goat, lest it will be converted. These goats, very, very important. $5.29 coming in from Darian the Sergeant. Game hasn't started,
and I am already entertained.
It's already started, though. Thank you, lady, for reading that out. We have begun. So thank you very much, Darian the Sergeant, who hosted the room earlier. Does get this goat back, and these goats, right, are very, very important. That's what this Age 1 is going to be all about.
Yeah. He's got so many as well. He's got 7 of them, so that's a really good pickup. Because so both India and Dutch, they start off with 2 kind of explorers or scouts. So Dutch of the envoy. So you kind of expect more of an even spread. But if we have a look at Raphael's base, he's only got 3 of the goats compared to 7 of the goats by India, and so that's going to generate a lot of experience for India, and they're going to get a lot of shipments a lot quicker. So I think H2O is going to be feeling pretty good that he managed to get 7 out of the 10 goats on this map. That's a really nice start for him, and he's going to be happy with that.
He's definitely going to be happy with that. It's a really, really nice pickup, as you mentioned. I think it's partly because Wicked Cossack, the Dutch player did opt to build a trading post in Age 1, which I think is rather unusual for Dutch players. Often that wood is usually saved during transition for the bank. And of course, you know, that's what Dutch... oh, look at him! Managed to get the Explorer on top of the Agra fort. That was exactly what he was looking for. And now look at that fort going down. A little bit awkward. Right? It's still close to one of the passes, but not you know, next to the trade route, which is perhaps exactly where he wanted it, and sort of closer to these 2 hunts as well, you know, securing those. But still does manage to get it down. Very important to get it down. You need to get aging ASAP, of course, because those shipments... you do want to get them rolling ASAP. They represent quite a lot, and you don't want to fall behind. So it's important to get that down. But didn't get the location he wanted as a direct result of LordRaphael standing and opting to do that, choosing to stand on the wonder where he thought it would be placed.
Yeah, well, that was actually really nice by both players, because so Raphael recognized this is about the time that India might place an aggro down. So he had both his Explorer and the Envoy in the middle of the map at that point. But H2O, really nice by him. He actually sent out 2 villagers. So the first villager, it didn't go down, but with the second villager, he could immediately put the aggro down. So he didn't actually lose too much time. Not ideal, but it was a smart play for him to send out that second villager, and it paid off as well.
Yeah, paid off. Nicely done. But Colonial Militia, Wicked Cossack, has arrived as the second shipment of the Dutch player. And this makes a lot of sense now, why he started with the trading post. He wanted the extra XP to squeeze in that extra Age 1 shipment, which is what he has done there. So has that going for him. He's clearly gearing up for some kind of pressure. He's expecting India to come in on top of him. And if he doesn't, if India chooses to not do that, if India does something more economically focused, then this shipment could end up being wasted. I think H2O... is not the kind of player to fall for this, but the tournament nerves could come through. Maybe he won't you know, notice this or something like that. Maybe
it might pay off. Have a look what we got going up next to the Agra fort, the consulate. So this is looking very much like it's going to kind of be a consulate all in, and most of these are done with the 6 redcoats. It's very possible he could use the 3 Ottoman hussars. But so he's going to plan a very powerful timing that maybe Dutch can't cope with. But this could play right into the hands of the Colonial Militia card. This could be exactly what Raphael needs.
But still, if he sees it, which I think is quite likely, does he not drop back, realize that there's no point pressuring in? His opponent's a whole shipment behind, and that's good enough for him. And then, you know, lay down the trading posts and be completely happy with that. What, is that not an option too?
Yeah, that is absolutely an option, but he's already committed somewhat to his build by getting this consulate so early. He's kind of foregone the market. Normally we see the market, right, and you'd be getting those free Age 1 techs. So it's almost, even at this early point, he's almost committed to the build anyway. He can back out of it, but there's a cost to backing out of it. So he can't back out of this build for free. But he's going to see the Colonial Militia now. If he's paying attention, he'll realize that his elephants are getting absolutely hammered down. One of them, just got Shrek, and the second one only just got out as well. So we'll have to see if H2O commits to this build or now adapts based on what he's seen.
Yeah, and that is the interesting point. We're looking to see what his next shipment is. But something worth pointing out, Cossack, is he does have most sheep, right? So he does have that economic boost going for him. The extra XP that the sheep represent is really, really valuable. Of course, India, that's how they work. And that does make perhaps backing out a bit more palatable. He knows Dutch won't have that big food boost because, you know, he has the the cows, the goats, whatever they are. And that's good for him, right? He doesn't have to...
Yeah, but he's going for it. Here he comes, right? The 6 red coats, the 5 sepoy shipment. It's on the way, and it's barreling towards LordRaphael's base. And Raphael isn't have anything. He's just got colonial militia.
Yeah,
the barracks is going up right now.
It is, and we can see, look, that explorer is they're looking for units, but he's come around the back way. This is not the direction I think LordRaphael was anticipating. That one sepoy, he's going to get it back there, doesn't want it to die, and it is almost out of range, and sadly, though, does go down. He's just going to siege down this market.
Yeah, we got an emergency barracks going up in the back as well, an emergency market as well. Raphael knows potentially that this barracks at the front could have gone down, so he's thrown up a second one, and he's getting up his market as well. That's kind of important just because it adds a bit of flexibility. If he loses houses, maybe he can start buying wood. So it's always kind of important to have a market. But now he's got out the skirmishes, he's going to be able to start kiting these the sepoys and the redcoats quite easily. So he's going to have kind of free reign to out micro H2O until maybe we see the full stable shipment or stables added.
$5 coming in from M. Mitchell. And
ANJAA, get back on ESO.
Thank you, messaging his buddy, I presume. But almost taking out that trading post, but cannot stay any longer, as you mentioned, because of the skirmishes which have come out. But by the looks of it, 8 pikemen has rolled up, and when H2O notices that, he's probably going to be pretty happy, to be honest.
Yeah, so that's nice, forcing out the 8 pikemen, and we can see H2O shipped 600 wood of his own, so he didn't choose the 4 sour and kind of commit in there, but I think he's still looking for a timing. It's just going to be a bit later, so maybe the next shipment will be 4 sour, and we can see that he's built a caravanesi with his 600 wood, so he's obviously going to start adding sours of his own. And then maybe with a few more shipments, he can kind of hit that timing that he's been looking for. But Raphael, he was going to start trying to poke a bit. He's probably now at this point a little bit unsure about what H2O's doing. So he's going to have to make some educated guesses now to make it through this next few minutes alive.
Yeah, where are his scouts? Let's take a look for those. Are they in the base? Yeah, the explorer is here. The envoy is dead, sadly, and he won't really be wanting to train another one. But yeah, he doesn't have any information. That's the key thing. Whilst H2O sits here and is kind of healing up his units. He's now got his 5 sours, and perhaps that will signal a push. But yeah, LordRaphael's not sure what to do. Does he keep making units, or is it time to age up? I think H2O... he doesn't want to give Raphael the sort of the room to age up. He's going to want to come back in soon, right? To kind of push in here, keep poking in, keep Raphael on his toes, make him keep training units so he can never really find an opportunity to go up. But at the same time, I can't see LordRaphael being unhappy with his position. If we take a look at the recalculated economic unit population, 47 compared to 33, and Dutch decisively ahead here. The longer this game goes, the more resources he's getting. And that's
right.
That's pretty good for him. He is also aging by the looks of it, so this is the ideal time for H2O to be pushing. $2 coming in from Fighting Frenchman. Thank you very much.
Free
but
the
that's a lot of sours, and they are approaching a Dutch player who's just clicked the age up button. He's pushing in This is the ideal time to push, right?
Yeah, but Raphael might just have enough resources here for colonial militia, which is probably why he got the market, actually, so he can be sure he's going to have it. So we can see him, hopefully they're going to pop out any moment now.
There they are, yeah. He's managed to bait them out there, right? I feel like the militia were possibly on the wrong side of the town centre. He would quite ideally like to get a couple of units into hand combat, maybe a few militia and a pikeman or so, something like that, and then he would snare all the blue units. But thankfully for H2O, he managed to escape there, and he notices that they were called, gets out immediately, and this is where he is very, very happy, because that's just 800 resources Raphael has spent on almost doing nothing.
Yeah, so that's really nice for H2O. The only good thing, I suppose, for Raphael is that it's bought him a bit of time. So we can expect kind of a military shipment to be on the way. I mean, he's got 3 production facilities.
Yeah.
So he's got a tiny bit of time to maybe stabilize in age 3 and try and hold this. You know, it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I mean, they're not worth. There's quite a lot of militia here, and even on 1 HP, they are fairly valuable. You know, ranged attack of 26 and 1 HP. Well, that's as good as the amount of damage a Sepoy does, which is 25. So they actually have quite a lot more HP than you might think. And he did manage to get up to Fortress. I said it was the perfect time to push, but had he pushed a little bit sooner, actually, maybe before the resources were available for the colonial militia, he could have taken out Iraq, something like that. Looks like we are going to have an engagement here. I think he's looking to pick off as many militia as he can and then get away.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of the militia on the front there.
Yeah, I was worried he was going to get flanked by these Sours. But,
$10 coming in from Harsh 7. He says, keep up the good work, guys. Go ahead, Wicked Cossack.
Keep up the good
Yeah,
work,
so
guys.
Histo didn't necessarily want to take the flank, but he's got a lot of Sours and
Here
a
we
lot
are.
of Sepoys.
Pikemen on top of the Sours. That's really good. But the Pikemen, they're so far away from anything else, they're going to get ripped apart by these Sepoy. And of course, there were no supporting fire from the Dragoons, the Reuters, and the skirmishers as well, including, William de Roy. Like, there was no damage coming. So those Pikemen almost lost for free. It looked like they were where they needed to be, but they weren't. There does manage to pick up a Sepoy here, but both players skirmishing. Looks like the Sours coming in. They want to get a good surround. He's noticed a good opportunity to get in there, and I don't think there's enough Reuters to really hold this back. Thankfully for LordRaphael, though, he can retreat through the trees, and that does obscure the pathing of the Sours. Not all of them are going to be able to get a good surround there. Some coming through on the other side now. 4 more Sepoy do join the fight, but I think this is a nice fight for H2O. More Reuters joining the fray, thankfully. Does still have a good number of skirmishers, so providing he can get back into his base, he might be okay. The Sours are dwindling.
He needs to get back. He needs to hide behind his base. As long as the Sour number dwindles, he can kind of kite with less skirmishers.
Yep.
So he's finally made it back into his base, and kind of that's the point of retreat for H2O. He's realized, okay, he's got some damage done now, but he couldn't quite break Raphael. That was a bit risky by Raphael to push out so much, but I suppose he was close enough to his base that it went okay for him, and that he could pull back to that defensive line. And he even called his set of other 6-minute men as well, which they need to get back into the fight. But Raphael's feeling confident now. He's pushing out, and he's going to start kiting these musketeers, the Sepoy units.
Yeah, but I think he's far enough back now to be okay. That's a lot of Reuters, but we have to remember Indian Sepoy very strong, and some Gurkha thankfully being mixed in for him as well. That's exactly what he needs to keep those Reuters afraid of him and to not get too close. But that fight, thankfully for those trees there, perhaps that's why LordRaphael was okay with moving out so far, because he knew he could go through the trees and there'd be some pathing issues for the cavalry, and that was a good place to retreat from. Is able to pick up a couple of unit kills here. More Sours coming in. They're going to try and jump straight on. And they're committed now. They cannot leave because they'll take damage on the retreat. Good damage on the skirmishers, and once the Reuters have to stay here now until at least all the Reuters are gone. Sorry, the Sours are gone. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we can see really nice kiting by Raphael. He's managed to kill almost so all the Sours have gone down, but Haysto he's still pushing forward with his Sepoys.
Yeah,
and he's nullified the range advantage of the skirmishers, and he's trading quite well now.
Yeah, especially since the Reuters aren't providing any covering fire here, any supporting fire. The Reuters have returned, and now he sees it's time for him to get back and kind of kite away. And that, I think, was a pretty good exchange for H2O. But if we take a look at the score, we can see as a result of all of this fighting and, Dutch having a superior economic unit population all of this time, or sort of equivalent population due to, Banks not actually being population, but we all know what I mean. He has managed to accrue himself an 84-point lead, which is really nice. Despite that, though, H2O having good trades, but I think, LordRaphael is in the lead here.
Yeah, absolutely. Those 5 banks are paying huge dividends right now. H2O did get a bit of damage done and some nice trades, but he needed more than that. Like, so we could see his build right from the start, the consulate. He needed big damage. It was almost as if he kind of wanted to end the game at 10 or 15 minutes, and it hasn't happened. And so his economy is just it's not as good, not at all. And so LordRaphael, he's got a really nice advantage in this game, and I think H2O is going to struggle to kind of pull it back.
Yeah, H2O not going to be happy about that one Sour there that just got shot. That's the kind of thing that would really frustrate him, because he knows he needs everything he can get to keep this game going. LordRaphael is up to Fortress, right? He's going to be able to start pushing in up here soon. H2O by no means out though. He has access to Hunt's coin mines, and Raphael isn't contesting that just yet. Most likely will be doing so soon. Hussars have joined the battlefield, a batch of 4 from, of course, the shipment and the train as well. And he has managed to, of course, get the veterancy upgrade. Looks like Dutch is ready to start pushing. H2O trying to get as many free shots as he can on those Reuters whilst they were a little bit far forward. But now the skirmisher mass is on the front for LordRaphael. That's where it needs to be, and that'll deny H2O the ability to kill any Reuters for free. They're going to be in the back. They're sieging these houses down. This fight, though, I think he's completely okay with it, especially with those Sawa joining sort of nearby, sort of luring those Reuters over to that side. This is a good fight. Gurkha cost more than skirmishers and have more stats accordingly. Here come the Hussars, though. Here come the Hussars have arrived.
They're certainly going to turn the fight. Luckily, H2O, he's got 10 Zambruks out now. Is it going to be enough? Those Zambruks are going to be fairly low HP. You can see Raphael sniping them off, so they're not going to last too long. And Raphael, he might just have too much it.
Yeah, sentries coming out, the anti-cavalry ones. He's almost gotten rid of all of the Hussars, and the Hussars fighting the sentries. That's not where they need to be. H2 are going to be very pleased about that. They need to keep the pressure moving forwards, and all of that time lost, obviously, they're being shot at, but also those Gurkhas were able to deal...
reinforcements!
What? That's so many Hussars, and I think we might see the GG come out here. The more stuff principle does kick in. Cavalry combat just coming in as well. Ladies and gentlemen, H2O unseated for game number 1. LordRaphael does pick up the first game, and now we can play real games.
Now it begins.
Now it begins, of course. For those that have tuned in late, perhaps, we did have a very, very long time deciding which civ to pick, right, in that very first game, this one. But going forwards, H2O, he will have the civilization advantage in the next match. LordRaphael, because he is the winner of this one, will have to pick his civilization first, and then H2O will be able to pick afterwards. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll be right back with game number 2 in just a moment. My name has, of course, been Interjection, casting alongside WickedCossack. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. Don't go anywhere.
They were powerful dynasties of Asia. Architects of great wonders of the world. Great armies of fearless warriors faced with victory or death. Age of Empires 3, the Asian Dynasties.
How many viewers do we have on Twitch?
701.
Nice.
What? That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This will be game number 2 in a best of 9 series between H2O and LordRaphael for, of course, the grand finals of this event. H2O, one of the best players of all time. LordRaphael, I think, a newer player, but does have many tournament performances behind him, has finished quite high up in quite a few, and did win a Starvation tournament. And he's picked up the first game.
He's already done better than he did last tournament. So the last finals that H2O and Raphael played, H2O actually kind of took that out 5-0. And so that's kind of made H2O the odds-on favourite to take this series. But Raphael picking up the first game, that he's kind of already defeated his own expectations of what happened last time. So he's going to be feeling really, really good with that.
High Plains will be our next map, and by the looks of it, LordRaphael, he now does have to pick. We'll see what he decides to go with. Still on Dutch, but of course he will have to change. What do you anticipate on High Plains then?
High Plains. So the main feature of this map, right? We got the 5 trading posts, and so that kind of heavily influences the decisions into taking civs that have that advanced trading post card that they can send in Age 1 and kind of just hoard that TP line and take it all for themselves. And so the main sort of civs we see that use that are Spain and Portugal, though it's not The other civs do have that card, but it's mostly Spain and Portugal. I would kind of expect to see maybe out of H2O use Spain a lot in the past. Raphael doesn't use Spain as much, so that's maybe not an option for him. But he might just go for his kind of tried and trusted France. Like that's always been Raphael's go-to civ if he's not sure what to do. So it could be a France versus Spain, maybe.
Yeah, and France, a very well-rounded civ, as we've mentioned before. And that's the kind of civ you need to be picking if you're picking first, because you don't want to pick anything that your opponent can just directly hard counter. But it does make me nervous, because, as you mentioned, Spain and Portugal, very strong on a high trading post map. As we know, Spain and Portugal, they get that advanced trading post card. In fact, a lot of civs have it, as WickedCossack mentioned, but Portugal, they don't have anything better to send an Age 1, they don't have a villager shipment, anything like that, so ATP is a card that they are usually quite happy to pick. And H2O, if he does pick Spain, or whoever picks Spain, they have lots of shipments anyway, so that's why it's popular with Spain as well. So we're going to see. Looks like LordRaphael, he is, this is hurting him by the sounds of it.
Painkillers.
Another painkiller coming out. I think LordRaphael, before we began this series, he was saying, he's got a headache, and I think that's just down to, the stress of a grand finals. Both of these players really, really want to do well. They've been practicing all week with many different people, as many games as they can get in. They are both very, very prepared for this series, and both taking it very, very seriously. And I think, even I and WickedCossack, we were saying to each other, we're a bit nervous for this, right? The grand finals are always very, very big. And I feel like you got to put on a show, so hopefully we'll be doing that adequately for you. But I think LordRaphael equally is feeling the nerves and says he's had to pop some painkillers. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes for him. Hopefully he won't be in too much pain. This was H2O last week against Mongo 10, I believe.
It's just high stakes all around. I mean, it's not even that there's a big prize money difference between first and second place, which we should emphasize there certainly is. So you would much rather finish first, but I think there's just a lot of pressure of being kind of in the competitive community that to win here would be really nice. And if you lose, well, that won't go down well.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, H2O, he has this. I'm going to say he has this ego where he feels like, he is one of the best players that there is. And I think, that might well be true. But he really wants to live up to that and show that he is, one of the strongest players that the game has seen. And it feels like he has to do well in every tournament. There's a lot of pressure on him and he's nervous because of that. LordRaphael, on the other hand, in the previous tournament did go 0-5 top banter versus H2O, right? So he lost every game. And I don't think he wants to do that again. That's quite embarrassing when that happens. And I think here he wants to show that actually I can give H2O a very good series, and I'm not that far behind him in terms of a player. And actually right now is 1-0 in LordRaphael's favor. So this series, it's still very possible LordRaphael could win.
Ooh. Oh, where have you gone, Interjection? You've disappeared.
Sway magic prevails.
Thank you very much for the donation. I'm not quite sure what happened there.
All right, so it looks like that Raphael has picked Germany, and I think he picked Germany in response. I think he wanted to bait H2O into going Spain, but then H2O immediately clicked him with Portugal, and he says he hasn't locked it, but
he hasn't locked it. So Germany is locked, right? LordRaphael has to pick first, and that is what he has done. He has picked Germany, and that cannot be changed. H2O now can pick any civ that he likes. That's his thing. That's the format, right? So has picked Portugal, and this might be a matchup that he's happy with. Certainly it was one on his mind, right? I think he likes this matchup, but he's thinking about, do I need Portugal on Indonesia, which is next, right? That's the next map after this one. And if he plays Portugal now, certainly he would like to play that now. It's a matchup that he's happy to play right here. But if he does so, Portugal will be off the table in the next map.
Yeah, I think Raphael was not anticipating him to counter with Portugal. I think he kind of gambled that, H2O is going to say Portugal for Indonesia, and he hasn't done. And he's kind of surprised Raphael here, which is why we've kind of got this kind of awkward moment right now where they're not sure if they've actually agreed to this matchup or whether to click in, but I think they will go with it.
Okay,
but I really think Raphael was anticipating a German versus Spain, and that's kind of what he was trying to anticipate. Even though he picked first, that's what he wanted, and it hasn't worked for him here.
No, he doesn't seem happy. He says, "Meh,
he's
that's
not
so,"
happy.
And then I've got the filter on, so I don't know what he said there. But he doesn't look happy. But I do wonder, right now Portugal is off the table, right? H2O can't use that on Indonesia, so we'll have to see what he has planned for that map. And maybe that's where, the advantage will shift back to LordRaphael, or as a result of, Portugal very, very nice. It's not the only civ you could pick on that map, but certainly is one of the better ones. We'll see. LordRaphael does have to click into this, but he has, is able to take a little bit of time to collect his thoughts and think, right, what do I want to do? What do I want to be looking for? What are my options here? And all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think he planned for this matchup to happen. He's certainly gonna take a few moments to think about what he wants to do in the German versus Ports. And yeah, neither players are overly happy again. They're just it's quite a stressful experience at the moment, which is, I think, what's going on. But yeah, they both readied up. So game 2 is about to go underway. Portugal versus Germany on High Plains.
Okay, looks like we are ready to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 in this best of 9 series between LordRaphael and H2O. The score is currently 1-0 in favor of LordRaphael. A lot is on the line here. Not just a big chunky cash prize, but also a lot of pride, I think. H2O, we all know why he wants to be the best, right? He's everyone says he is, and I think maintaining that is very, very difficult, and I feel like he feels like he has to do well in every tournament. LordRaphael, on the other hand, did go 0-5 against H2O in the previous Grand Finals, where they both were here. So both these players capable of getting to Grand Finals multiple times. We have 2 of the strongest players in the world. This is game number 2 in this series. We are just getting this underway, really. Spawning in the north of the map in the color blue, we do have the Portuguese player, starting with, of course, 2 wood crates. Both players will get this crate start. But the interesting thing here, the thing to look out for, I think, on a map like High Plains is if you start out with those wood crates, because it does enable you to go for that early trading post, which, if I'm being entirely honest, WickedCossack, I think actually favors the German player here. He's going to be very pleased to see that, right?
Yeah, I think the German will be more excited about this 200 wood start. As we can see, Raphael, he's heading up to the correct trading post point, which is the second one from the right, as this is the first trading post that allows you to get the first pass. The trade Travoy will be coming along just as he finishes that. But it's not only Raphael
The best way to prepare for the physical trials of Age of Empires 3 is a nice long treaty.
Yeah, he looked for the one, he was at the southern one, and we can see his scouting pattern using the Control-Shift-F there. Notices that Raphael was not at the very closest one to him, which would be the one he'd most likely go for, right? And you mentioned that correctly, he's move up to this top one here. H2 is not looking to stop this trading post from going up, because of course it will, and he gets that passive XP, and you said it's the correct one, probably because he got that passive XP right as it was built, which was really nice for him. He's going to have that 4 villager shipment rolling, of course. That's what Germany gets. Really, really nice. But what H2O does get to do is fight this guy all the way back to his home and get lots of damage in, which is going to make it more difficult for him to, of course, collect treasures and deny him any scouting on the map. So this is really nice, knowing, of course, that Germany is going to want to build that trading post and going out to find their explorer to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and this is also kind of going to impact a bit later when we're expecting H2O will send advanced trading posts, and there'll be a little bit of a war where they'll try and get as many trading posts each as they can. And if you've got low HP on your explorer, it's going to make it really hard to do. So we can see Raphael's actually garrisoned a few villages.
Yeah. To try and get the HP, or just take, kind of abuse the fact that H2O perhaps went in a little bit too far and took some damage as a result of that. But either way, he's going to be aging a little bit more slowly, and that does also help H2 out in that it does cheekily pick up the 30 gold. But I think it's a really interesting point that you bring up, because of course Portugal's going to be wanting to go for that advanced trading post, right? And the main thing LordRaphael has to stop him from sort of getting as many of those down is his Explorer, right? Going to be able to do damage with that.
Yeah.
But that's no longer the case, because he's lost quite a lot of HP. Half of his HP going down, and I don't think he has enough to pick up this 80 wood treasure. It's actually, well, he can if he kites properly, but he certainly, can't tank it. Not that he would have done anyway, but it makes it, kind of awkward for him. At the same time, though, I think the more interesting thing, H2O picking up that Tomahawk treasure, that is a big pickup when you're going ATP.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge. So Raphael was gonna struggle with his Explorer HP to get.
That's another big health investment on the bear. He was hoping to keep the bear running away from him for a bit longer. You can do that if you're careful, but here going to have to fight the bear more than he really would like to. Is going to pick up the 80 wood treasure and will be fine, but that's even more HP lost. He's going to be pretty sad about that. Sorry, go ahead, Wicked Cossack. Building the trading post by the looks of it before picking up the tomahawk treasure. Perhaps he doesn't want to reveal where his explorer is. Perhaps Germany knows where this tomahawk treasure, or perhaps he would like to lure Raphael towards him, knowing that he's low on life, and then at the last moment pick the tomahawk treasure up. So, because at the moment Lord Raphael has no idea he has one, and then can use it to take out the remaining health.
To help him win.
Yeah, so actually what accidentally happened was there was a bit of RNG and the wolf ran up on this little cliff and it had to be reset.
Oh,
so,
right.
H2O took that opportunity to kind of build a trading post, so that wasn't completely intended, but now he's got the tomahawk. That Raphael's explorer's only got 28 HP. It's only got 12. It's going to go down. So there will be no second. Oh, unless.
Oh, he missed.
Oh my god!
There was a throw that wasn't thrown. It looks like he's pathing upwards to try and get back in range. The angle that he's moving at does almost allow him to. There's a bit of an animation on the tomahawk throw. I think though he is going to lose the explorer there, but it does have to. Yeah, there's a bit of a if he gets out of your sort of range, it resets the animation. I think though if he chases him long enough, he will get them. But that's it. The final tomahawk to the back does take this guy out, and that 45 XP is rewarded to H2O. But we can see, in the meantime, whilst all of this is happening, the third trading route has gone down, whilst one in the very north of the map, a villager, has laid this down as well. And of course, we do see the town centre is going to be lying between this trading post that Lord Raphael has built and the final unoccupied one. So really, really going to secure the route here. Portugal, a very strong civ for this map.
Yeah, so because of all that fiasco with Lord Raphael's explorer, H2O is going to secure these remaining 4 trading posts really easily, well, without any contest whatsoever, which is going to be great for him, as he'll research stagecoach pretty early and get that huge economic boost from the stagecoach. So we can see that H2O is building the barracks in his base. And that's actually pretty good for defending trading posts. So he's probably going to get out maybe 10, 15 musketeers or so. And he's dropping a stable as well. So he's going to play in Colonial a bit longer than I expected.
This feels like a Samwise build, but with Portugal.
With ports, yeah.
Yeah, getting both the infrastructure down here. He has access to the cavalry to do some raiding with, and if he sees, the cavalry are not going to be needed in the fights, he can, discontinue training those. But has access to both units, and that's going to be really valuable. Getting that infrastructure down now, and that 700 wood is also not just for the stable, but of course going to be really valuable for getting stagecoach, which will not show up if I take a look at things being researched, but almost undoubtedly will be being researched. There's the stagecoach hitting him right now, and if we take a look at this one, I imagine we'll see gold, 116 gold just come in there, so he's going to be queuing up some units with that. Picks up 140 food as well, so even at this busier portion of the game, H2O knows, of course both players are going to be wanting to grab treasures, but sadly for Raphael, his explorer only just standing back up, so wasn't able to get something like 140 food, and you can see all these early things coming into play, right, like just small things like that, securing 140 food and just denying his opponent completely the ability to get that. But the important thing is Portugal is up to Colonial, has the full route upgraded, and has now sent 700 coin, with which I will imagine we'll see units being trained. Currently, musketeers, 5 of them, and a hussar in queue.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what Raphael's plan is going to be, and at the moment, it looks like he's just going to go with...
Is this a bait? He has the 2 musketeers on the front, and then sort of pulls them back in there. To get them with the other... No, he's not going to take... Lord Raphael sees that. But thankfully, due to the town centre line of sight, was able to get those 2 musks away. Otherwise, they would certainly have died to those cavalry, and that would have been pretty sad. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we should point out that because we're playing on the EP, the ESOC patch, these Ulans are slightly less intimidating than they used to be. So Raphael has to be careful about what fights he chooses to take. I don't think he actually wants to be taking fights right now. What he wants to be doing is killing villagers around the map, but H2O's been positioning his army quite well as musketeers and his hussars. We can see his 2 hussars at the back were protecting some villagers, and so Raphael hasn't found any damage, and he's just heading back home, and so he's got to be feeling pretty bad right now. I think he want to have got some damage done against 2 town centers, 4 stagecoach TP.
Yeah.
But he is up to the fortress age sooner, so that's what he's got going for him. He's up sooner.
And now he's going to be able to get those units out. War Wagons in queue. That's really interesting, actually. Not a unit that you often see being made. It's not particularly strong, I feel. But the Minutemen are going to come out here and help him in this fight. Otherwise, the number of Hussars there truly out. 65 USD coming in from I Will Spank You.
Whatever you do, don't free the cheese.
She says, whatever you do, don't free the cheese. Thank you very much. That is very generous of you. I Will Spank You. So, everybody drop her a big love heart in the chat. Thank you very much. Of course, all donations do go to future prize pools and allow us to keep doing these events more regularly. But, and $5.29 coming in from FB Soldier. The cheeky interjection voice, he says.
That cheeky interjection voice.
That fight where he called the Minutemen, do you want to bring us up to speed on what happened?
So I think that was actually a pretty even trade for both. H2O kind of saw an opportunity to really kill those Ulans, and he did get them all. But he did lose quite a few Hussars in return. But I don't think he'll be disappointed by that. But Raphael, he's gonna have to make a time to either start taking down these TPs or just a push outright to kill H2O, as he can't let the situation continue where he bays down. So yeah, he's pushing up now. Gets the Explorer, that's nice.
Yeah, and these War Wagons are going to do
Adam.
of damage versus the Musks, though not really a fight he wants to keep. He's going to walk forward, so do we see... Yeah, we see Minutemen coming out. He wants to snare these very slow-moving units, but this is surely not a fight he wants, right? War Wagons are so much stronger than muskets here. I guess with the supporting Minutemen fire, it's okay. But, and maybe this is a good trade. He has, of course, got that advanced trading post working for him as well. And the War Wagons getting caught on the thing as they were moving up this pass. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank another $10 donation asking me to update the score, and all of the $2 donations that have been in that I've been neglecting to read out. I am sorry about those. But what do you make of that fight? I'm not sure what to think. It looked like LordRaphael had, the superior number of units, and these are really big, beefy War Wagons, right? Like, what was H2O doing there? Did he want to? Was it okay with the sort of supporting Minutemen? I suppose that's. I mean, they are very strong units, and yeah.
Yeah, so it's not too bad to fight that with the Minutemen. I mean, he even got one of the War Wagons, which is really good. Usually in the Third Age, you don't expect your musketeers really to do anything. Oftentimes they're sent out on raids. But so that was also okay for Raphael, but he needs more than that. Like this can't go on. You can see he's moving around with his War Wagons, but he's not finding anything. He was checking the coin mine.
Yeah.
Maybe there was going to be something there, but there wasn't.
This just goes back to earlier, I feel like, where he had those cavalry looking around. He saw the juicy 2 musketeers sieging his trading post and went straight for them, but did not manage to pick them up, didn't manage to kill any villager kills, and now with these War Wagons, isn't achieving very much, as you mentioned, went up to the gold mine looking for something nice and juicy to gobble up, but nothing is there, and just a continuing story here of not really being able to do any damage, whilst Portugal just sits in the back with a full trade route and 2 town centres as well.
Raphael has 2 stables in his base. Normally you have 1 stable and 1 barracks. But it looks like he's just going to do solely War Wagons.
Solely War Wagons, yeah.
Yeah. Is that going to work against the Cassadors? The Cassadors got off 2 good volleys. They didn't actually kill any War Wagons, but they got 2 pretty low. And these are expensive units.
Yeah. It does, if anything, completely nullify the Mameluke shipment that Portugal has available to them. So there's certainly that. But I am a bit concerned, as you mentioned, right? Cassadors are that ranged skirmisher unit that has that ×2 multiplier against these units here. So in terms of cost efficiency, he's never really going to be able to take well, in terms of just fighting, it's never going to be good for him if your opponent has those skirmishers mixed in, right? And he has this whole trading route working behind him. I don't feel like these War Wagons are adding too much. Starting to add in quite a lot of Ulan there. So he's adding to the composition. He's going to perhaps be able to take it. Perhaps he's hoping that H2 will neglect the Dragoon production there, and maybe we'll catch all of these Dragoons out across the map like they are now, and then the Ulans can get in, snare up all the Cassadors, do lots of damage, and then the War Wagons will be able to provide supporting fire. We do see, though, the cavalry are now heading home, so that window of opportunity is closing, and to be honest, it was never really there. He wasn't able, he was nowhere near being able to take that. But something I wonder, let's take a look at LordRaphael's deck and see if he has anything in here. I was perhaps anticipating something really funky, like, I don't know, I don't actually think Germany has something like Hackapels available to them. Actually, I think they do, but not in his deck. And I was wondering maybe he goes very War Wagon heavy or something like that, and then sends some very funky shipment and catches H2 off guard with a sort of unbalanced composition that isn't ready to deal with what he has. But I think Germany needs to do something, and I think he's aware of that too. He's got to approach soon, because the longer this goes, Portugal is going to be quite happy. But we do have a big fight coming up. This is going to be a game-defining one. Ulan's trying to get into position there. The Castador's moving back a bit. He wants to get as much range as he can. These are going to be... Ulan's taking a lot of damage from these Dragoons on the front. They need to get a good surround on the skirm soon, otherwise, they're low HP. They're all going to die off, very melt away. Hasn't managed to get a surround just yet, and these War Wagons, some of them shooting the villagers in the back there, and I think H2 have got a lot of free damage in before really these the Ulans were really able to get up into the combat position where they wanted to be.
Yeah, excellent kiting by H2O. A lot of these war wagons got stuck in the trees, and that was the one time in Raphael he needed to do something. That was his push, and I think H2O's just held it right here, and that's it. That's GG.
And LordRaphael does resign as well. We see the Foundry coming in at the end as well, and wants to perhaps get counter-infantry rifling and a few other upgrades. Really solidify the sort of damage you can do versus the War Wagons. But GG coming out. H2O does even up the series. The score is now 1-1 after this game versus Portugal. But I do wonder now, I mentioned Portugal for a very good reason. We have Indonesia coming up, and this is not a civilization H2O will have available to him. We'll have to see what he picks. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. Thank you for all of the very generous donations. I'm hugely appreciative of that. Everyone at ESOC is, and we're going to be able to do more tournaments as a result of that. So thank you very, very much. Let's take a very brief look at the post-game. You can see H2O's trading post economy really pulling ahead of LordRaphael, and he had to do something. He went into push-in, because, this is just going to continue growing, and if we take a look at the military unit population, we will see that, big decline. Like LordRaphael, very unfavorable fight there, so wasn't able to really make anything happen in the early game, and this in the late game as well. Very sad fight. $30 coming in from Gitchen Lords. Queen of Destiny belongs to me, guys.
Queen of Destiny
we now belongs know who to me, Queen guys. Of Destiny belongs to. It is Gitchen Lord. But we will be right back with the next series very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
After months at sea, we arrived in this strange new world.
We shall claim this territory in the name of the Empire.
The deadliest battle I've ever witnessed. We prepare for another day of battle. I pray that I will live to see the end.
My life is a small sacrifice for victory. We will do whatever it takes to make this new world ours.
Age of Empires 3, rated T for teen, in stores now.
But, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is the grand finals and will be game number 3 in a best-of-9 series between H2O and LordRaphael. Looks like LordRaphael has just restarted his client. He did have the sound bug he mentioned in that previous game. The infamous sound bug that neither WickedCossack or I have ever had. I wonder, where it comes about. I think it's something to do with the way sort of Windows is set up and the volumes you have and how the volume... I don't know if it's how the volume mixer is configured, but it seems to be you have this bug every now and again, or you never have it, like me and WickedCossack. So I do wonder about that. Very unfortunate for LordRaphael there, but that game was rather short. He didn't have to endure it for too long. Looks like he has back, or has returned. Has back. Yes, that's an excellent way to phrase it. We do have $2 coming in from Caffey Tanner. Thank you very much. What do we see here? Indonesia coming out. So LordRaphael, he gets to pick second here as a result of the way the first match finished. So H2O picks British as his civilization of choice here. A very good one for Indonesia.
He's going to India. Sorry. I was just getting excited. But we seen Raphael was toying around with the India-British matchup, and they are pretty stressed at the moment. But Raphael, I think he's going to go India. We kind of saw that he wanted that matchup in game 1, and H2O's given him the opportunity here of Indonesia of playing this matchup.
This is a matchup we've seen played before by H2O. He doesn't actually, a lot of the time, seem to do very well as British versus India. The final game of the Spring Championships versus Blackstar OP, that was a British versus India, and that didn't go too well for him in the end. And also, WickedCossack, you have personally beaten H2O with India on this map. In this matchup, if that is LordRaphael picks India, he still hasn't done that. We're still discussing it as if he has. How certain are you that he's going to pick this?
So I've suddenly just got a bit less excited. I just realised Portugal's still on the table. It's just any time India comes up, I kind of get a bit distracted and I'm like, India, wow, amazing. So I, for some reason, Portugal has slipped my brain. So I think those are Raphael's two options right now, and it could be a 50-50 between Portugal or India. So I wouldn't be surprised to see either one, but the fact that H2O kind of he's notoriously got a bad win rate in the British versus India matchup might swing it for Raphael to take it.
He is still deciding, and I suppose that is all there is to say. Indonesia, though, right? H2O has to play British, so okay, but against India or Portugal. Which is Britain okay with here? Is it both? Is there a matchup he's perhaps going to be more scared of?
I'm not sure. So Brits is really versatile. They can fight on the sea really well. They've got all those fancy water cards. They've got offshore support, which increases the range of the caravels and the frigates.
Insane
and they've
card.
got even upgrades in Age 3 as well that Portugal don't have. So for instance, if it's Portugal, H2O knows he's got really strong warships that can take the fight to the sea there. However, if it's against India, he knows he probably doesn't have to worry about a fish boom, which is something that he might want to go for, that he might just want to wall up, kind of hide with longbows, and he doesn't have to worry about the fish boom. So that might work for him as well. I think he's going to be happy with where he is at the moment, 1-1. I think that's kind of to be expected. I think Raphael was always going to struggle with these the 5 trading post maps. So H2O is usually really good at the stagecoach builds. He's had a lot of experience on high TP maps, and maybe that's not Raphael's sort of thing. So I think Raphael will be happy that, okay, he's taking game 1. Game 2, sure, maybe that was going to be a bit hard for him, but I think Raphael feels we talked about this, and I think he feels good about Indonesia. He feels like this is one of his maps where he, if he's going to win, he needs to score a point on this map, and I think he's got a good chance at doing that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that. I also think LordRaphael has the advantage perhaps on this matchup. On this map. So I'll say, yeah. So it's because H2O, right? He's played plenty of practice games, but mostly on Kamchatka. Is Indonesia, perhaps, even said it earlier that he played very few games on. Do you know more about this?
Yeah, so I think that's if people had been paying attention, if you guys have been active on ESO during the week, you would have kind of seen etched that the sort of the top of the lobby would have been H2O and Raphael's game. But what was interesting is that H2O's game, it seemed about 95% of the time, it seemed to me, it said ESOC Kamchatka. And so I think he's really focused on this first game. Yeah. And he kind of admitted it to us in just before the series started. He said he hasn't played too many games on Indonesia. So his kind of practice has been distributed a bit differently on certain maps, and maybe he's trying to play to his strengths on certain maps. And so I think Raphael will be looking to score a point here, and H2O maybe not feeling so good about this map, and so this one could go Raphael's way. If I had to make a prediction, I think Raphael could go 2-1 up here if he cues in at any point in time.
Yeah. I wonder, because India, we do have a development coming out.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
H2O does, of course, have to click into that. The question is, though, is LordRaphael going to click in here But, you know, this goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? India, definitely a pretty good civ against India. I've seen H2O not do so well in this matchup before. As I mentioned, that grand finals against Blackstar, the India player, which was Blackstar, did take the edge on him there. And I also said earlier, WickedCossack, you played this matchup on this exact map earlier in the tournament versus H2O. You played India versus British, and you did come out on top on that matchup. So do you want to tell us about how this really goes?
This must be H2O's worst matchup. Like, if you take all his tournaments, right, and like analyze every single one of his matchups, perhaps British versus India, out of all like the 114 matchups or whatever it is we have in Age of Empires 3, this is probably the one with his lowest win rate.
Yeah.
But the thing is, every one of those games that he lost, Britain versus India, if you'd seen them, they were really close. Like every single one, and it was only that the India just edged him out after like a really long Age 2 fight. So it's by no means okay. It's in terms of win rate, it's a bad matchup. If you kind of seen the games, they were really close. British versus India is a really close matchup, and H2O, I don't think he'll necessarily feel bad that he's been forced into this matchup, because he has come close on the really big games. And he's had experience in this matchup. Sure, it hasn't been good experience, but maybe he's kind of tailored his build after a lot of games now, and he's realized, oh, okay, if I just move my units there at this point, I would have won. And so maybe now he's come up with the formula to take this matchup. Yeah. And maybe Raphael's kind of, he's missed the India versus British boat. He's trying to hop on to the Let's Bash H2O in the India versus Brits, and the boat's just is sailed off, and he's missed it. But we'll see.
I think this is also quite interesting because we know LordRaphael has and might always will be a very vanilla-orientated civ, right? So his civilizations that he's comfortable with and that he is strong with have traditionally always been the vanilla, right? The 8 original ones. Not the war chiefs, not the Asian dynasties, and that is exactly what we're seeing from him here. India, one of the Asian civs that he is perhaps not as familiar with. And yeah, he's just, he picked the India, but he's not happy with it. He wants to play a civ that he is more comfortable with, and by the looks of it, Russia is a civ he is more comfortable with. You've absolutely seen LordRaphael do very well with this before. It's something he is good at, it's something he's comfortable with, and maybe that just edges out the matchup, right? Maybe you just prefer to play the civ that you like. He doesn't like India, he doesn't like the other kind of civs. He's always been very, very vanilla-orientated.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point that Raphael, he's a vanilla player at heart. We rarely... so all the civs he's played in this matchup have been from those all those European civs in all the rounds he's done. I haven't seen him pick an Asian civ or a native civ. So yeah, it might just be that he's going to go back to his roots. He feels comfortable with the Europeans. Okay, bye India, and he's greened in as Russia, and so there we go.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. We might have LordRaphael versus H2O as British vs Russia. We did for a moment. All we needed was H2O to click in. Doesn't look like... Okay, so H2O is now greened in. We're just waiting for LordRaphael. But we have decided on Russia, and that will be British versus Russia after possibly what was about 15 minutes of decision. So LordRaphael wants to know, he wants to be, completely happy before going into the matchup. He wants to explore all those possibilities. But here we go, H2O versus LordRaphael on Indonesia. So I feel like here, the water element could be completely nullified, right? Russia can be very aggressive, and British certainly can deal with that. But I don't think the water is going to be a relevant part here. We will be seeing some catamaran action. It certainly can fish. And maybe we'll be seeing some cheesy things with, of course, the treasures. I don't know if there's necessarily any sharks close to the coast. I don't think there are. Maybe off the coast of one of the islands we'll see a shark. You can sometimes kill the, some of the treasure guardians guarding the big beefy water treasures and then pick it up. But by the looks of it, catamaran heading to the back of the base here to find the island and maybe scout out some cows that might be sort of on the shoreline that he might be able to go back for later. But cows are going to be a big factor for this Age 1. Let's take a look at their scouting patterns and see how they get that. But H2O spawning in the sort of left upper side of the map, playing as indeed the British, and his opponent, LordRaphael, to the south. Worth also pointing out, they have extra gold.
Yeah, and I'm really unsure about how this is going to play out. You said maybe there won't be water, and there's a good chance there isn't if Raphael decides to put down, that forward blockhouse and kind of go all in and maybe try and catch H2 off guard. But Russia themselves, they are a very strong water civ, as they can kind of ship schooners in Age 1. They don't miss out too much. They don't have that villager shipment like we see other civs do. And so Russia, they're actually a really nice civ
Oh, baby. 90 food. H2O does notice it, though. He's going to move in a little bit closer. He wants to get right up to the treasure. But he is tanking damage from the Monitor Lizard, which is a big deal. These things are, more HP than Coyote. 10 is quite a lot. Taking damage from the Russian Explorer as well. Does go down first and picks up the 90 food treasure. LordRaphael identifying that, knowing he's not going to get the treasure, and does choose to go into hand combat and slow, of course, this guy down. Get that snare effect. Keep him in place. Oh baby, I love.
He's going to save his explorer.
He's getting towards the coast. He wants to get in there. That's really nice to see. Indonesia. The map really coming into it and just dumps him off just a little bit further down the coast to go and pick up the 35 food treasure, which by the looks of it, he was killing the panther on with the catamaran. So whilst I was mentioning at the very beginning of the game, you can cheese the sharks. Which there aren't any to cheese on this particular spawn. But also you could use your catamaran to cheese the land treasures if there was any. He was scouting the coast up on this island because he wanted to find a treasure like this 65 coin, but a bit closer. Hopefully it would have been closer. Wasn't. And that's why he was looking for the island. So H2O really putting the map to good use there.
That was really well done. Oftentimes we see on this map people be quite lazy and just leave their catamaran to fish, but he really exploited that catamaran but he's actually going to lose his explorer now to the oh wow. So all that good work that he just kind of did is maybe undone there in an instant. I suppose he's still actually got both of those 2 food treasures, which was nice for him, but he wouldn't have wanted to lose his explorer now. As so the main thing he's going to be worried about is not that he won't be picking up more treasures, but that he's not going to have much scouting. He's going to want to know, is Raphael putting down a blockhouse? Is he rushing me? Or is he actually going like 7 docks on the water? And so how's he going to know? He might have to scout with his catamaran. He might send a villager out, but he's going to feel really uncomfortable having lost that scout. I think that's a big deal.
I think it's absolutely, it's a huge deal. He was searching up the coast by the looks of it for treasures like this one, the 40 wood here, to sort of get with the catamaran, but maybe wasn't paying as close attention to his explorer as he perhaps ought to have done, or maybe he was repositioning his villagers over from food to wood when he was aging up. That could have been something that was going on there. Whatever it was, he lost his explorer, and that's not something he wanted to happen. So sadly, that mistake coming up from H2O for him. We'll have to see how he scouts, because we do see 3 forward villagers coming forward to put down the blockhouse here.
Yeah, so at least for H2O, he's come out ahead on all of the treasures. He even picked up that 40. Oh, yep. So he got all those treasures, right? And so resource-wise, he's going to be fine. So the question is, how soon does he scout these 3 forward villagers? I'll be interested to see if he actually looks with his catamaran to see if any docks have come down. That might be a way of kind of indirectly maybe scouting that. Okay, there's no docks, therefore there must be a forward blockhouse.
That's one way to find. But his catamaran on the other side of the ocean here isn't going to be seeing that. Let's take a look at the Russian player's deck for a moment and see what he has in there. Certainly water capabilities like you would obviously expect there to be. But sometimes if there's no schooners, you'll know it's not possible. But, in a tournament game like this, of course he's going to have those cards. By the looks of it, though, there is a forward blockhouse. It is unscouted at this moment, but starting is stable.
Yeah, this blockhouse is so far forward as well, so we can only assume that so Raphael's just hit the 2nd age, and immediately 5 Cossacks are going to be on the way, and it looks like he's gathering coins, so we can expect a 5 Cossack, 5 Musketeer push, and that'll probably do quite well against 5 Hussars, right? We got the Musketeers that will counter the Hussars, and the Cossacks will be able to snare them. And H2O's he's doing all right with his herding, but he needs to get this left hunt in a bit more. We got 2 villagers out on the edge that maybe could get picked off by Cossacks, but his tower placement is nice. It guards his coin mine, and if he herds his 2nd hunt in, it will defend that as well. So he's got a good defensive position, but so the muskets are out, and I think Raphael's just going to wait on these Cossacks. and
there they are. 5 Cossacks are arriving. There is a villager on that island. We'll talk about that more later. I wonder if he'll go and hunt up there if he's forced off the main island. That could be really problematic for Russia. But the 5 Cossacks have arrived. They were slowed down by this one Musk in the group. That's really not too good for him. Gave H2O plenty of extra time to react. And there's the Hussar shipment does pop out right on top of the Cossacks here. He's going to be, and with the town centre fire, should do reasonably well. Sadly, though, Musketeers are going to be joining the fray. Maybe that's actually not where he wanted to be. Does end up managing to get most of the Hussars away, though. Not actually, maybe.
Yeah. So, slight mistake that Raphael only pulled kind of 1 musketeer and he didn't get the rest in. But H2O didn't get a full batch of 5 Hussars out, which is pretty big. 5 Hussars are actually, they're really strong when they're kind of all together. But only 4 of them, it makes it significantly weaker. And so Raphael, with his weaker Russian units, he got a fairly good trade there. He took out 3 of the Hussars. Yeah. And so I think that probably did go better for Raphael. Absolutely. And he's got more musketeers coming in.
I thought the Hussar pop on that side was because he thought he'd win that fight, with his superior number of Hussars and the fact that they're stronger than Cossacks. But yeah, he did miss that final one there. Something I would like to point out is H2O was using his town centre to not finish off the low HP units. He was trying to get as much damage as he can on these sort of, and then he'll switch it to a different unit. He won't overkill. He's trying to maximise the damage here, get these musks as low as possible, and keep LordRaphael. Minutemen do come time very nicely with the 3 Hussars here. And I think, Raphael probably thought his army was a bit stronger than it was because, he had lots of units there, but they're all very low HP. And I think H2O does that to obviously maximise the damage, but also give people a bit of extra confidence and make them stay a bit longer than they ought to.
Yeah.
Fight goes pretty well, brings the villagers in to tank up some damage. Sadly does lose 1 there for him, but a nice trade, I think, for H2O.
Yeah, so H2O probably did need to pull the villagers in, and they've done a good job at tanking, but Raphael, he's been focusing fairly well. He's killed all the Hussars, not too many shots were wasted on those villagers.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice by him, but H2O he's gonna hold this, and he's gonna clean this up and so Raphael, he's invested a lot into this, right? 5 and 4 Cossacks, and I'm not sure he got the damage done that he needed to do there.
No, he is now sieging the stable, and it is, this is where he might be able to get some damage. But that town centre is going to go to town on these units, and you can see not overkilling anything, just trying to get each individual musketeer quite low, and then when a batch of unit pops, he'll be able to clean that up really quickly, making as much use of the town centre fire as he can. The 13 Strelae do arrive, though, and this is Russia's final push, right? This is this final chance to do some real meaningful damage, because that's the last military shipment. Musketeers do perhaps they arrive at the outpost. They're the villagers coming forward, and I think this is he's going to lose the stable, though. A new one coming up in the back.
Yeah, emergency stable coming up in the back. I'm not sure if those musketeers came out where H2O wanted them, but they're taking on the Strelae surprisingly
well. Yeah, they did well with the villagers mixed in and sort of forced the Strelae to move away, and then they weren't perhaps shooting as efficiently as they could have done. Probably got most of their shots in. The secondary stable, though, gonna be losing that, and now no resources coming in for H2O and no military production facility. Yeah, he is in trouble.
He's in big trouble.
Where are the villagers going? Are they going to go try and get in the catamaran? Yeah, they're to the boats, boys. He's going to have to walk up along the coast because the catamaran's quite far away there. But that's exactly where he wants to go, right? He's luring these units away from his town, perhaps trying to get as much damage as he can on these musketeers with his town centre. 3 musketeers almost walked in. Look how many Russian musks are going down whilst they were chasing the Vils. Sadly, though, there's no food up here, so he's either going to have to get in the catamaran and go to the island, which probably will be what he does.
I think he will. Yeah. So no, that's actually a really, really nice. So he can have kind of villagers. Oh, so I didn't even see that. Oh, that's really good. So he can have villagers idle in his town centre, while at the same time he's going to have a lot of economy, hopefully gathering. If he's obviously got a bit distracted, he needs to ungarrison those villagers. Yeah. I think he's trying to micro perfectly his tower and his town centre onto the musketeers at the moment, so that he doesn't lose any shots. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
But maybe he can stabilize off this. It's just kind of what damage Raphael has done. I think H2O's had to cut a lot of villagers, and actually Raphael's villager count is pretty good right about now.
Especially now those 2 are going down as well. Let's take a quick look at the upgrades so Steel Traps is active for LordRaphael, whilst only Hunting Dogs is available for H2O. If we click on the villagers, we can see that. And did lose, is two Hussars coming in, and they're going to do reasonably well. A lot of these Hussars are quite low on life, so this final Hussar should be able to pick up quite a lot of these final musketeers. Sadly, though, a couple of other musks up in this location were killed and the villagers weren't working. They are now back to work, but Russia has no more military shipments available to him. They've all been used up, but at the same time, I think he has done enough damage with those shipments to be in the game, right? So H2O, 4 villagers down as a result of all of this, and he sent 5 villagers, 3 villagers, and has built a bunch of manors as well. So,
wow! Sorry, right at the top, he's found it. I don't know how he found it, but he's got units up there. And H2O's he's kind of had to evacuate, and some of the, not all the villagers could evacuate, so he's lost a couple of villas there. But that was one of the only things H2O had going for him. I don't know how Raphael found that, but he has, and that's a huge bomb for H2O.
Yeah, I think he was looking around the base, right? He saw that there's no villagers on this hunt up here, there's none on the sides. Where is he hunting? And the only logical explanation is, well, it's certainly not in his base, it's not in his berries either, it has to be on an island. So goes straight up to the top one, which is the most logical one for H2O to be on there. So Raphael making some good decisions here, and realizing that, okay, actually I do need to do something about these villagers. 2 Vels out as well, so that does shut down the water, and it shuts down these hunts as well. That Rax, and that stable are quite close to the shoreline. This is really excellent for LordRaphael, especially that stable, which is not going to be covered by the protection of the anti-ship damage of the town centre here. So those broadside attacks are going to be able to take out this stable basically for free here. Though that's a nice trade. 4 hussars and a bunch of longbowmen. Sadly, the villagers blocking him there and not able to get on the Strele, and is instead going to have to fight the Cossacks here. 700 wood does arrive as well. Can't immediately get that up. Hussars, though, they're going to clean up these Cossacks, but I wonder if there's going to be enough hussars left to really do any meaningful damage to the Strele, and I don't think there are. Only 1 left.
No, I mean, he's at least got a number of longbow in the back, but Raphael's just gonna ignore that and kind of just charge. No, okay, so he's a little bit scared of the longbow, and he's gonna back out. Yeah. So that's maybe a very small win for H2O.
That's why he doesn't want to go right.
I see.
5 Cossacks coming in as well. He's going to need he has no units in queue. There's no musketeers here to save him. Does get through the small little hole in between the gold mine and the racks there. That makes it hard for the cavalry to get on him, and sort of blocking with the villagers. He has to do well in these fights, otherwise he'll be truly forced off the map here. But the more he fights with the villagers, the worse his economy is going to get. And now Raphael, 10 villagers up. More units coming in.
Yeah, H2O, I don't know how he's going to hold
hitting the fields.
He's not going to hold it.
No, he clicks on one of the units, sees the Boyas has arrived potential, or maybe he just realizes this fight is over, right? He's down villagers, and certainly is down now that Boyas has come in. Those Strele are going to be really powerful, and of course the reinforcing Cossacks as well. But that does conclude game number 3. The score is now 2-0 to H2O, so LordRaphael doing very well, perhaps better than expectations, especially this early in the series. So doing very well here. He's actually ahead of H2O, and this will it potentially be an upset like last year? Sorry, the spring tournament last time? We will have to see. It's certainly not the 5-0 sweep, though, that we saw in the previous winter tournament, where we had exactly these 2 players here. So I do wonder how H2O is feeling right now, but this is a best of 9. There is plenty of games left to go. Let's take a look at that all resources gathered, and sort of the military and the population as well. So as Russia moves later and later into the game, we can see the damage he did early on. British not able to keep going, moving his villages around quite a lot, and not as much. And also, didn't have steel traps, whereas the Russian player did. We take a look at military unit population, and just really good trades, and always having more military units, and just the fight's not going quite so well. Of course, we do have to remember they're Russian units, so the population is inflated, but the point does certainly stand. Yeah. So that does conclude. That is the story of game number 3, 2-1 up. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back with game number 4 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
$800, by the way.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This will be game number 4 in a best of 9 series between H2O and LordRaphael. The score is currently 2-1 in favour of H2O. We're just waiting for WickedCossack to get back into the game, and we will be able to
I'm on my way.
He's
way.
on his way. Oh, they can't hear you, by the way. I'll turn you back on. Thankfully, you now can be heard, WickedCossack. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, so I made it just in time, and H2O suggests that Raphael can pick in under 3 minutes. This is an impossibility. No chance.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that too. I might be running out of time. I think I've got about 2 hours left, so
yeah,
maybe
I'm
2.5, 3 hours if we're pushing it.
So Klondike, right? This is our second 5 trading post map. So kind of very similar to High Plains, except that the trading post, instead of going horizontally across the map, which is in between the 2 players, this trading post line goes vertically. So it's maybe a bit harder to control, but we could certainly see this is where I'm expecting H2O might pick Spain and Raphael. Portugal, maybe. Wait, he hasn't played Portugal yet. No, so he could do ports here. I'm not. It's possible. And this map has less resources than High Plains, so it can get scrappy pretty fast. So that could lend itself maybe towards France. We saw in the Raphael Gungun series where things got scrappy, kind of in the middle. France can use their Courrier de Bois really well to maybe change fights a little bit. So I think France is an option for Raphael. Portugal is an option for him as well. Yeah, so I want one of those 2 civs, and H2O finally might pull out Spain. Yeah.
You mentioned Spain on that, and they also have advanced trading post available to them. So similar to High Plains, where we saw Portugal make use of all those trading posts, I think it's quite likely that Spain, is the other civ that can do that really well. I think it is quite likely that comes out here. LordRaphael does pick first in this game, number 4, and then H2O will pick afterwards. The advantage is to him.
H2O is getting a bit concerned that Raphael's taking a while to choose. It's always a bit annoying as a player to be waiting a lot in between the games, but that's kind of just Raphael's style of picking civs. But so he's
Aztec does come out here, and I think LordRaphael, a lot of thought does go behind each pick. He wants to make sure he gets it right, but Aztec, not a civ, not a vanilla civ that he's perhaps that comfortable. Has been practicing a lot though, so we'll see. But Aztec, does have that age up fast option. Certainly might be able to contest the sort of trading route, right? So Spain perhaps less desirable now, and now some other civ has to be picked. And what has H2O played so far that perhaps LordRaphael is comfortable to bring Aztec out here?
What civs has he put? Like, my mind goes blank when...
So, yeah, in game number 1 on Kamchatka, we saw him play India. And then on game number 2, which was High Plains, we saw him play Portugal, and now we've just seen him play British as well. So, are there any civs there that LordRaphael wouldn't want to play against as Aztec? I do wonder.
So, as Aztec is kind of... I think they can do well against most civs. It's almost... Mirror, of course. So, Aztecs is almost like the flavour of the month, really. We've kind of seen a bit of a resurgence. The fast industrial is getting... pretty popular as Aztec. They've kind of got a few bugs they can exploit with the War Chief there that make Aztecs a desirable civ kind of at the moment. And so H2O, taking no chances, he's just going to say he thinks he's the better Aztec player, so he's going to take the mirror. And I think H2O does actually have more experience in this matchup, as we mentioned a few times before. Raphael is that kind of, he's the vanilla, more experience with those European civilizations. And H2O, maybe he's got a bit more experience with all of the more fringe civilizations. So the Aztec, the India, kind of the bit more unique civs. So I think H2O will be pleased to take this, even though it's a mirror and it's his counter pick. I think he'll be happy with this.
I mean, LordRaphael has to be reasonably happy with this as well, given that H2O did just use his counter pick on a mirror matchup. But at the same time, H2O is very, very happy to play mirrors. So there is certainly that. We'll see. We'll see how this one goes. You mentioned some bugs that are being exploited. They will be fixed in the next patch. But because the tournament started before they were discovered, anything you can do except the Alt-D is available and it is allowed to be played. So we'll see how this goes. Spawning in the north of the map. In the colour blue, we do indeed have H2O. Score number 1 to him. All right. And in the south, we do have LordRaphael. Here he is. So, we'll have to take a look. What is the interesting thing early on? There's no livestock on this map, right? And the trading posts are also off the table.
Yeah,
They certainly are 200 wood. Go ahead.
There's a kind of a unique thing with the treasures, which we only see maybe on Cascade range, which is that all the treasures are level 1 treasures. So you can see there's so much free coin kind of strewn about the map. I would kind of estimate there's about 350 coin just worth in treasures that you can stroll around and pick up completely for free. And then there's a few other treasures like kind of a 40 wood or small XP treasures. But both players are kind of going to be racing around the map with their explorers, looking for this coin. And you know, if you have a really nice scouting pattern, you can easily net 200 coin just in age 1, and that could be 4 Puma spearmen that might tip a fight later on. So the scouting pattern's going to be really important, and they've got to try and find all these coin treasures.
Yeah, and it looks like both players are scouting this sort of trading post region where, by the looks of it, judging from the minimap, the majority of these treasures do spawn. The first one, or the second one, no, LordRaphael, that is his first treasure. No, it's his second 50 coin treasure here. So now has 100 coin and H2O on 50. He's going to come. Maybe that's the wood treasures he's looking for. Do you think that might be? He's going to be converting that polar bear. This is absolutely what he wants, right? 252 HP worth of polar bear there. Really, really nice. And they're the only kind of guardians you can convert. So if you want to make use of that conversion ability that the Aztecs has, it's not picking up these 50 coin treasures that's going to do that for you. It's going to be looking for the big, beefy sort of, wood, especially these wood treasures. Does find another polar bear as well.
Yeah, so I suppose the thing about the wood treasure is for Aztecs specifically, it's a lot more easy to spend. You can just throw that down on the market. All your units are mostly wood heavy apart from the Pumas. So even the Raphael's, we can see he's got the coin lead. He's at 220 coin, that's just insane. To 150 coin. It's a bit harder to spend. He'll kind of have to wait till hunting dogs, or maybe we'll even see some of the wood technologies being upgraded, as they've started with a coin crate as well. So there's so much free coin.
And as you mentioned, it's hard to use that coin, right? Like, because of their units don't cost coin, and it's just the hunting dogs upgrade that really does. And as you mentioned, the wood upgrades as well. So yeah, he has all this coin, but how useful is it going to be? Maybe you can buy resources with it at the market, something like that. But like, how do you feel about these treasures then? Because, clearly LordRaphael is leading this age 1. He's, I think, decisively the winner on terms of treasures. But if the coin can't be spent, maybe H2O actually is doing better, given that he's managed to take that polar bear and saved quite a lot of HP picking up the other wood treasure here. Isn't converting as many guardians, but he's probably okay with the one polar bear that he found early on. It does take a long time to recharge. Gonna pick up the 30-40 food. But yeah, what do you think then? Who really won age 1?
So it looks quite balanced overall to me. So Raphael, he's up 120 coin, and H2O is up 80 wood, and he also got a 40. I think was that a 40 or 30 food treasure. Yeah. So they're kind of even in terms of resources. Maybe H2O's is a bit easier to spend, but I'd say it's pretty even.
Right. But what? Okay,
carry on.
Well, we see a forward villager coming out, right? Here's the Aztec villager. He's actually now herding these back, but that has come out, and H2O has 250 wood available to him now as a result of picking up perhaps those wood treasures earlier. And does this give him the edge, right? Like, he gets the war hut up more easily as a result of the wood treasures, and that gold isn't going to be spent for a long time. So really it's this, but equally, LordRaphael has found this really quite quickly, and he's now going to get lots of siege damage on here with his Explorer, which does ×4 when the building is being in construction.
Yeah, so that would be really nice for Raphael to get the siege damage. But what I find is really interesting is that Raphael sent 3 villagers, but normally you kind of just send them to a hunt or to a tree until you gather that 250 wood to put down your war hut. But he's happy with them kind of hammering away on this coin mine. So he's up to now 350 free coin.
Is he going to ship 700 gold or something and do some sort of fortress? No, surely not. Judging by this first shipment here in the Colonial Age, 700 would absolutely not the case. And if he did do that, he'd certainly lose this forward war hut. So not the case at all. But that was just the resource he had them on. He's going to build the war hut here. But H2 does have that hut up a little bit sooner. And if we take a look at the units in queue, he will have his first batch of coyotes come out sooner. So for the entire game now, he's going to be ahead in terms of that military progression. And I think getting this up sooner is a facet of that 80 wood.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Raphael I'm interested to see what he spends the coin on. We could see him maybe trying to hit a Puma. Yeah, exactly. A Puma timing.
Right, that makes a lot more sense then, I suppose. Now he can spend the gold.
Yeah, I hope also for Raphael. I don't know if he's scouted. He's kind of got a ninja hunt on the left, which is really kind of hiding. I hope for his sake that he at some point scouts that, or else that could be an issue for him. However, he does have more map control, right? So sure, H2O got his war hut up faster, but we can see it's a lot closer to his base. So should the game go out longer, I think Raphael could kind of exploit having a bit more map control. But we can see he's got so many Pumas. He shipped 6 Pumas. He's built 5 more, so that coin has certainly gone to good use.
Yeah.
I think that's because Aztec mirrors in the past, right? They've always been okay. Let's see who can match more Coyote.
I'm very focused on the Coyote and Mace Halton, which don't cost gold. You forget, or at least I did, about these Puma Spearmen that he is able to spend that gold on. I do wonder though, because he sent 6 Puma first, as well as shipping or training 5, and yeah, that's really strong against the Coyotes. But H2O's units move faster. He doesn't have to take that fight. It's not like they're going to go head on and LordRaphael will win. H2O will just delay. He'll move around and then of course receive Mace Halton, which are very strong, adding in 6 Puma of his own. But just going from build order, just looking at what they've done so far, H2O has that 5 villager shipment working for him. So the longer this goes, the better it is for him. But LordRaphael will have that edge in that first push. But the longer he waits, the less it will be. 6 Puma arriving for H2O now. He's moving forwards. This is he's sort of moving forward. He's going to Mace Halton. I don't think he'll want to take that though.
No, he definitely won't.
But he's committed.
He needs to back up.
Yeah, he's backing out now. He sees the Puma at the last moment. They were just on the edge of the line of sight of the Coyote, I'd imagine. Choosing to get back here. He's not going to have any units for certainly military shipments for quite a while. He might have a batch of units arrive any moment now, but this fight's going to go very, very LordRaphael favoured.
Yeah, H2O, I think he's skewed the Jaguar Prowlers. We could see the big button come out. He needs that ASAP, or else he's going to lose this fight really bad. 5 Coyotes
to arrive. Does he time it with the Coyotes? Does he time it with the Prowlers? Not by the looks of it. But yeah, like this, it looks like the Coyote's going to be able to get onto the Mace Halton, but that's not the case because those Puma still alive, not dealt with, and now going to straight up lose this 3-0. 3-1. LordRaphael up here, and this is crikey indeed, shaping up to be an unexpected outcome, possibly. What happened there? What was the problem? It was 5 villages, right? It was perhaps a bit and more perhaps Puma than anticipated.
Yeah, so I think what happened was, okay, H2O shipped the 5 vills, and Raphael was looking to push. But what I think happened was H2O, when he sent out his army, it was more just to kind of poke, have a look at what units Raphael had. But for whatever reason, he somehow got snared. I don't know if he was maybe he was looking back at his base. And then also at that exact moment, it just so happened that was when the 10 Mace shipment arrived. So I think it was kind of a bit of a bad timing there. H2O was just looking to scout a little bit, and then his whole army got snared. Raphael's 10 Mace came out, and then suddenly it's just over in a blink of an eye.
I think you're absolutely right. That, like, he's forward, looking to see what there is, but also that combined with, his opponent has 6 more Puma than him as well. So even if they do go straight up in a fight, those 5 villagers certainly aren't going to help there that he shipped. Yeah, I think that's an excellent analysis of what happened, and of course he resigns straight away here because he's going to lose this war hut. Look at how many Pumas are left alive. They have so much siege damage. This war hut's going to go down. Certainly this market and house village will be forced off food, and that truly is GG. A short and decisive 7-30, possibly down to just one mistake in that fight just over here that he was not really intending to take. But it does make me wonder why he was so far forward, perhaps. But there is certainly that. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back with, of course, game number 5 in this series in just a moment.
H2O's, he's cracking, man.
What did he say?
I'm talking to him now. I'm trying to hype him up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is going to be game number 5 in a best-of-9 series between H2O and LordRaphael. Looks like we have landed on a pretty easy matchup choice. Both players happy with this by the looks of it. Ottoman versus Spain. We saw H2O hold against this against his previous opponent. I believe that was Mongo 10, is that correct? That was a pretty interesting game. We'll have to see what LordRaphael can do differently here, but maybe LordRaphael won't go in with the all-in Janissary push off the back of the food crates that we saw previously. I'm really interested to see how this pans out. It's not a matchup you see very often, especially on RE patch, right, where Spain truly is not very good and Ottoman is quite powerful. So this is more of the vanilla Ottoman versus Spain. For those that don't know, this is a very close matchup, and I think according to some of the sort of stronger players, Spain is the civilization that's perhaps slightly favoured, but is much harder to play. Ottoman certainly almost there, and certainly a lot easier to play. And maybe that sort of being easier to play will come into effect here, we'll see. But LordRaphael, you know, if you can take it, you're absolutely going to. This is a big tournament game, and if you can play Ottoman, and you know, you're certainly going to do that. We'll see if H2O can pull it off, though. Spain certainly do put up quite nicely against, of course, Ottoman. We'll see how he ends up doing that. But picking up the 2 early treasures here in his base. What is there to look out for on this map? Clearly the Ottoman player going for the trading post. What else is there? He's got his war dog after all.
Yeah, so there's a lot of high resource treasures on this map. Often we see things like the 2 polar bears that could really favor the Spain. So this is 2 polar bears for 125 wood.
Yep.
And so Ottomans is because they need a trading post in age 1. His explorer is going to be Raphael's explorer will be delayed in collecting treasures, whereas Spain, his explorer won't be delayed at all, and he's also assisted by this rather strong war dog. So Spain, H2O that is, he's going to be trying to get an advantage in the treasures, but because the Raphael's explorer was delayed, and he's going to need an advantage as well. As I don't know, I think 2 racks Janissary, I think it's on the cards.
Yeah,
I really think it's on the cards. I think we could see it again. I really do.
I think there are a few mistakes Mongo made last time. Yumi pointed out he ought to have pulled his Janissaries to the side and pushed in with a timing rather than trickling them in and making it easier for them to die over time. We'll see if LordRaphael has learnt from that mistake, but he might not do it. It could be something else, but certainly very, very possible. H2O though, he now has to deal with an Ottoman explorer who has the Kickapoo scout behind him. I was going to say the Rikiki-Poo scout. A big shout out to Rikiki-Poo there. But that means, you know, Ottoman are going to be more aware of where these big treasures are, and that bonus for Spain having that war dog is going to be nullified a little bit, because he's now going to have to worry about the Ottoman knowing exactly where he's going to be collecting or being able to roll up at any moment to start harassing him. Here, he's 125 wood, really big, valuable treasure. Spain going to be very pleased with that, but Ottoman nearby, and if that scout doesn't, if that explorer doesn't see it, the scout certainly might. Wait, where is the scout? Has it died due to the town center?
It died, so the town center fire got it. So
H2O nicely doing that here, but we do have a treasure contention. This is a huge one. He's really going to want this there. He needs to pick that up. Does manage to go in at the last moment there. I think he was waiting for LordRaphael to take that final shot, saw the animation, and then went down to pick that up. It's at that moment, right, when you're picking up that 125 food, you don't even care about if your age up is going to be delayed by 100 food or something like that. You're picking up that wood's so important. You have to look at that, and it's exactly what H2O was doing. He saw the explorer do the shoot animation, and he goes down to pick it up just as the polar bear dies. So does manage to pick that up, and I think he was really banking on that wood. Look, he's going to build a trading post out of it, and yeah, almost has 100 wood now. Possibly, you know, of course, for that of course advanced trading post, which I imagine maybe won't send actually, so maybe not advanced trading post at all. Sorry, I'm so used to seeing that. It's not often the Ottoman is picked. Right. But yeah, at any rate, has almost 200 wood. Perhaps for, what do you think he'll build? Surely not another trading post.
It could be. So I mean, it'll be just a huge relief for him that he actually got that treasure. I think right now he's going to be most concerned about scouting what the strategy is coming out of Raphael, and there's 2 villagers walking forward.
Yeah,
could this be? And so they're kind of heading down a bit. Oh no, in the middle of the map. So I'm wondering if Raphael's kind of maybe trying to hide exactly where we think these And also his villager distribution as well, right? We don't have many on coin, which kind of indicates it won't be in Abus. Or maybe it will. So I mean, so sometimes you sip 700 coins. So I'm not entirely sure at the moment, but it's going to.
LordRaphael does pick up that 150 coin. He's going to be very pleased with that. There was a bit of a contention over here. I went to look at his base to see the coin distribution. Barracks does go down though, and I think whilst it still could be a foundry as well, looking more like a Janissary push. Sadly for H2O though, does not pick up that 150 coin. That would have been really, really valuable. You can see now villagers switching back over to gold because he's not got that. He really wanted that 150 coin. So he is now up to the next stage. Outpost going in the back of the base there.
Two barracks.
Explorer, I wonder if he'll start sieging them.
Yeah, that's a good point. He could get some big damage done on that outpost, but two barracks on the way. So H2O doesn't completely need to directly scout this because he knows there's a huge chance of it arriving. It'll be nice if he can. I don't know if his war dog got taken out earlier in kind of that treasure contention. So he won't know for sure, and I suppose that's an issue, as Raphael could still potentially Oh, we can see that the walls are coming out.
Yeah. So
that's really nice, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Raphael kind of waits with his Janissaries, as you mentioned kind of earlier in this match. That was a point of contention after the Mongo H2O game, where a number of kind of top players suggested that maybe if Mongo had waited for a whole bunch of Janissaries and then you just throw them all in kind of at the same time rather than trickle them in, that you get it's a much easier way to win. And so yeah, Raphael, he's not moving with these 10 Janissaries, he's waiting. So I think he's taken that. Oh no, well, no, yeah. So he's taken that on board, and we'll see if that makes a difference this game.
Yeah, he's waiting, but at the same time, right, he's also giving H2O all this freedom to collect the resources, whereas his opponent in the previous time, Mongo, did not. He had his villagers belled up and was really, really being a pain in the bottom. He's 700 wood, he's going to come down, and he's going to pick that up uncontested. If we remember back to that last game that we were talking about, this 700 wood and even the 700 coin, like just the shipments were queuing up outside of the outpost, and no villagers were able to get them because there were just Janissaries everywhere. But here, able to get that down, able to lay his barracks down, able to lay the houses down at his leisure, and as his explorer in pace to pick up that 160 XP. But we do see the Janissaries and their leader, Kara Ali, approaching this. Actually, the wood is going to be left on the floor. Thankfully, only 20 wood, so not really very much in there at all. But that Rax, he needs to finish that pretty quick. Moving, I think, he's trying to move the villagers up. So just
really nice.
He needs to get that finished. He really wants to get musketeers in queue, I think, here.
Yeah, and so really smart by H2O. He's moved about
8 pikes coming out as a colonial shipment here. Is he going to pop the Minutemen here? I imagine so. It has to arrive any second now. He's got them in cover. Minutemen do arrive, and he's able to buy himself some time here. Going to get some, the pikemen are going to tank a lot of damage in cover mode, where they take half damage from shots, whilst these Minutemen do lots of nice damage. They've got quite a high attack, and of course here, whilst the red player will come up on top, he's buying himself a lot of time and getting a lot of good damage, slowing this down, so he can get up to the next stage. There isn't any siege damage going on his town center here, and this means that he's going to be able to get those lancers out and stabilize more nicely. Keeping 2 Minutemen alive as well. And here we go. He's gonna I imagine he's aging up with 4 cavalry, but
I expect so. Yeah. So as you mentioned, that the H2O was never actually going to win that fight, but the thing there was he was trying to buy as much time as he can and take out as many Jans as he can. And we can see this is so well in by Raphael. 700 food, 600 food, 5 Janissaries. You cannot be more all in than this. It's physically not possible.
If this rush fails, he loses the game. But we're going to see in approximately 15 seconds 5 lancers arrive, and in combination with these hussars and of course a batch of skirms, let's take a look. Units in Q4, war dogs coming out. So this is where he's intent. It looks like here it goes. 5 lancers about to pop. War dogs coming in as well. Look at that. The luring those Janissaries away in hand combat here. Now this is the fight. He is still pulling them away a bit, just buying a bit of extra time here. Where are the lancers? They need to pop any moment now.
They need
2 cannons do come out, but they're going hand combat. There's not enough. Wait. Like, he might be able to take out one of the villagers. No, he's deleting everything. Looks like LordRaphael does pick up game number 5. The score is now 4-1. 1 victory away from taking this series. And H2O clearly is now out, unable to hold that push there off the back of the 700 food, 600 food, 5 Jans, and 3 Hussars. The all-in auto push does defeat Spain here. And now we go into the next match in a very uneasy position. Will LordRaphael pick up game number 5 and effectively reverse the score of the last tournament where this grand finals is now being repeated? H2O has a lot of climbing to do. Winning that many games in a row is very tough.
Wow, he's it's really on him now. He's got to win 4 games in a row. But I mean, it's a bit cliche to say, right? But if anyone can do it, well, H2O can do it, right?
Yeah, if that would be truly spectacular if it did happen here. I think we might have a brand new winner, and LordRaphael, this could potentially be his very first tournament first place. And, the big cash prize split, there's a lot of money up for grabs here. For playing Age of Empires 3, that is. But, I don't think there's much to say about the post-game on that game. Quite a short 8-minute 22 game there. LordRaphael all in and manages to pick up the win. So, there we go. We'll be right back in just a moment. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is about to be game number 6 in a best-of-9 series between H2O and LordRaphael. The score is currently 4-1 in favour of LordRaphael. This is not the outcome that I think very many people, if anyone, was expecting at all. I think H2O, one of the clear favourites to go ahead and win this tournament. And here, LordRaphael doing very, very well for himself. Finds himself 3 points up and 1 win away from taking this series and becoming the winner, the finalist of this particular tournament. So we'll see how this pans out. H2O has a lot of climbing to do. Clicking in quite quickly now into the India versus Russia. The civilizations have reset. They can now play any civilizations they like, since H2O now playing India again, which he played in the first game, and that was disabled because of being playing that. And clearly LordRaphael now able to play the civilizations that he is more comfortable with as well. Russia certainly being one of them. Here he is in the north of the map in the color red, indeed playing, of course, as I mentioned, as Russia. We'll see that explorer head on out over to the left-hand side of the map. He's going to be looking for llamas, and that, of course, is very important. That is the key thing to be looking at on this map. Whilst H2O sends 1 elephant out, the other is going to move up the side of the map. Does find a CDB treasure, going to be very pleased about that. But let's see how many llamas they can pick up. These are going to be important going into that sort of later portion of the game.
Yeah. So the Indians absolutely love llamas because it gives them that experience. So H2O will be looking to pick up as many llamas as he can. And what's nice about India on this match compared to, on this map compared to Russia, is they've got 2 explorers to Russia's 1 explorer. So that kind of allows him to either he can send both to pick up more llamas, or what he did was he sent 1 to look for treasures, and so he scouted that Coeur de Bois treasure, which he's not picking up at the moment, but we can imagine in a minute or so he's kind of going to send 2 of his explorers over there because he knows it's there. Russia doesn't know it's there because he's only had 1 explorer, so that's going to be really nice for him. And he's got, how many llamas is that? Is that 4?
He's picked up 4 compared to his opponent on 2. There is 1 remaining llama up in this very north portion of the map. But I just want to point out, I really like H2O's scouting pattern. He does it every time, right? He has 1 elephant straight up into the middle to capture those ones that are, very contestable. If you get to them first, you'll pick them up. The ones in the back, are kind of more yours, and your opponent's not going to get them anyway. So it's worth rushing to the middle straight away, and does manage to do that, and does end up with more llamas, and of course that XP bonus as a result of that. We are seeing a 2 stray sheep treasure elephant coming in, and maybe he can pick this up. That's going to be really nice. He's going to add to the and he does pick it up. He's ahead there as well, and maybe he can even pick up those 2 llamas if he's careful.
Yeah, so that's really nice for H2O. He's getting those 2 sheeps. LordRaphael probably wasn't as interested in getting those sheeps as he was more interested in H2O not getting those sheep. So the reason he went for that treasure was so H2O didn't get it. I don't think he was going to be too excited, but we can see H2O's moved over finally to this Courier de Bois treasure,
baby,
that's really big. So this is seriously buffed up, like a villager on steroids. It's really strong, and so that's going to give him a huge advantage, and he's going to feel great about getting that. That's a really nice pickup for him.
Yep, villager does come down. Really, really valuable. Even just the ordinary villager, I think, is about 100 food every 2 minutes, something like that. I think that was the calculation I did a while ago. And that's, if you think about it, we've got the whole Discovery Age ahead of us, and this is a CDB. He gathers even faster, so going to be very happy about that, and gets to herd the rear towards his base as well, I suppose. There is actually 2 llamas left on the map, so we'll see if he's able to pick those up, but more likely going to be going for this 90 coin treasure. I wonder, because, well, let's take a look. I thought he was eating a llama for a moment. No, he is going to do... No, okay, he was moving towards the trees. At any rate, LordRaphael has now clicked up to the next age, and has indeed got that villager switched over to wood. He's looking to get that 250 wood now for that blockhouse, I would imagine, and well, that is what it's going to be. But the H2O 90 coin coming in there, and going to pick up this other llama. He's got that 2 sheep treasure going for him. What can we expect India to do versus Russia here? Here comes the forward villagers, that blockhouse coming down, that aggressive agenda from Russia, but India, what are they going to do?
Yeah, so usually in this matchup, India will age up with an aggro fort, but in a defensive position, and so they'll be looking to defend against the ever-aggressive Russia. Usually Russia gets a much bigger mass out early on just because of they've got those big military unit shipments. It's much easier to get a big mass of strelets. However, if the match kind of continues on and on and on in the colonial age, India have these really strong camel upgrades that when they start getting out Zambruks and Sours and they send all the cards on them, Russia actually really struggles to take fights with them in late H2. So basically H2O's game plan is to survive. And nice. Oh, okay, so that's really cool. H2O actually saw the blockhouse going down before he'd scouted it, just because he was sending his villager out to scout this hunt, right? And he'd obviously seen that when you put building down, it kind of changes the layout of the terrain very subtly. You really have to be paying attention to notice that, and so obviously it was. So he somehow actually scouted the blockhouse without actually scouting it. That was next level scouting. But I mean he's seen it anyway, so it was irrelevant. But it was a nice point.
Yeah, I think he's a bit unhappy about the treasure he was going for. He almost had that. Perhaps a little bit ambitious. He's lost both his scouts to that. I think that's what he's upset about here. And of course, he sees the blockhouse come down, and now herding these hunts away here. So this is going to be quite tough for him, especially without those explorers, to deal stomps and also tank up some of the damage here. Agra Fort is almost there. We've still got quite a little bit, about maybe a third left. But Russia, shipments are going to be hitting the board pretty soon, and military units as well. If we take a look at units in queue, no doubt we're going to see some musketeers. Strele, there's the 5 Cossack shipment as well. Not even up to age 1 yet.
He's coming straight in. So at this point, H2O has to not lose villagers. That's the idea. He's managed to burst down Raphael's Explorer, which was really nice. He might drop 1 villager here, so that's unfortunate. That will annoy him a bit. And that might annoy him enough, hopefully.
Yeah,
no.
H2O resigns. That's, ladies and gentlemen, LordRaphael picking up the grand finals of the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. Congratulations to LordRaphael here.
Yeah,
and I think we'll try and get Raphael in for an interview. But I think H2O not having the best day here. And what a surprising outcome. This was, not an anticipated outcome.
No, so this is an upset for the books, and really, really well played. Well, so up until this final game, we could kind of see the pressure was building up on H2O, and it came to a forefront on this final game, and I think he could have done all right here. But Raphael played out the first 5 games really fantastically, and he's definitely deserved this win. So hopefully we can actually get a winner's interview of him. That'd be really nice to kind of see his thoughts on how this has gone. So I'm going to load up Skype right now.
All right, we'll see if we can get him in. I'd like to use this opportunity to advertise the brand new ESOC Facebook page. So we have a Twitter, we have a website. Do keep that bookmarked. This tournament is, of course, brought to you by ESO-community.net. But there'll be a link in the chat to our Facebook page. Do head on over and give that a like if you want to keep up to date with us there. Certainly we would like to announce that now. Lots of people are listening. But my name has been Interjection, casting alongside LordRaphael. Possibly one of the most unlikely outcomes there were. I think a lot of people were expecting this outcome in reverse, being 5-1. I can't go up to 5. There's not enough on the AZAMP scoreboard here. But we're expecting a sort of a 5-1, 5-2 in favor of H2O. Not the case here. H2O not able to bring any up after that first game. And I think we do have a Skype interview ready, so I'll be added to that shortly. We're going to be talking to LordRaphael, and we'll see what he thinks. Absolutely, and if you would like to watch that interview, there is a link to it in the description below. H2O does turn up as well, but do leave a like if you enjoyed the tournament, and we'll see you all again for the next one.